had encountered him, their eyes had nearly bulged from their sockets. Yet before Qin Lang, they were as humble as ants, not daring to utter a word, much less express any grievances, instead offering apologies. Even Zhou Ziqing was oblivious. Deceived by this duplicitous man, her affectionate gestures stood in stark contrast to her cold demeanor when facing him, highlighting the double standards to an extreme. This glaring disparity left Chen Pingyan feeling profoundly uneasy, as if a heavy weight pressed upon him. He yearned for an opportunity to prove himself, to extricate Zhou Ziqing from this quagmire. She could not be allowed to continue her descent. As the younger generation concluded their gift-giving, guests returned to their respective seats. Qin Lang was also seated at the foremost table, alongside Zhou Ziqing. What followed was the main event, the announcement of gifts from the prominent families and corporations of Tianhai City. The MC, holding the gift list, proclaimed loudly, "Wishing you prosperity." 1 golden abacus, a century-old ginseng from the Long and Phoenix pairing, presented by the chairman of Tangshi Group. 1 villa at Ziji No. 1, presented by the chairman of Zijin International. A luxurious yacht, presented by the chairman of Chu Group. Jilong Group. As the announcements of gifts from various corporate leaders echoed, the Zhou family's elder beamed with joy, his face aglow. However, his overwhelming excitement caused him some discomfort, leading him to cough a few times, covering his mouth with his hand, exhibiting slight abnormality. "Grandfather, are you all right? Is your old ailment acting up again? I shall fetch your medicine." The younger generation seized this opportunity to fawn over him. On such a joyous occasion, why would one need medicine? Step back, all of you. Can't you learn a thing or two from Ziqing? In the face of such grand affairs, why do you lack composure? The elderly patriarch of the Zhou family wore a stern expression as he reprimanded, subtly elevating Zhou Ziqing's status while directing a self-satisfied smile towards Qin Lang. As the patriarch awaited Qin Lang's response, a figure abruptly interposed himself before him. Irritated, the patriarch looked up to see Chen Pingyan, the representative of the Chu Group, standing before him. With a frosty demeanor, he inquired, "What do you want?" "Zhou Patriarch, you are unwell." This statement resonated like a thunderclap. The pretentiousness was palpable. At such a moment, uttering such words provoked a torrent of scorn from the younger members of the Zhou family. Insults flew. "Are you out of your mind? You're the one who's sick. Your entire family is sick. Get lost. Go as far away as you can. What are you still doing here? Can't you understand human speech?" Furrowing his brow, the patriarch gestured for silence. Once the younger members quieted, he stiffly remarked, "Young man, even if you are the representative of the Chu Group, to speak such words on this joyous occasion is likely to put Chairman Chu in a difficult position. Don't you think?" Chen Pingyan smiled, seemingly oblivious to the predatory glares from the Zhou family members, and confidently replied, "Indeed, however, Patriarch, have you recently been experiencing feelings of tightness in your chest, shortness of breath, or even sensations of suffocation when slightly agitated?" The Patriarch's expression shifted dramatically. Before he could respond, Chen Pingyan continued, "I neglected to mention that, in addition to being the Chu family's bodyguard, I also serve as Chairman Chu's personal physician. His health, like yours, bears the weight of youthful indiscretions." He refrained from detailing the specific issues. While Chu Qianping's troubles stemmed from excessive injuries in his youth, the Zhou Patriarch's issues were a consequence of overindulgence, sufficiently alluded to without elaboration. Qin Lang, possessing a distinguished lineage, had the capability to earn the Patriarch's esteem without relying on his background. Establishing a solid foundation with the Zhou family would afford him opportunities to engage with Zhou Ziqing, and in due course, unravel Qin Lang's true nature with ease. "Are you the miraculous physician mentioned by Chu Tianpeng?" The Patriarch's expression shifted in surprise. He and Chu Tianpeng had shared interactions, inquiring about each other's health. Previously, Chu Tianpeng had mentioned that he had significantly improved, thanks to a miraculous physician, and he had considered inviting this physician to treat himself, though he had refrained from disclosing the physician's identity. To his astonishment, this physician stood before him now. Chen Pingyan, exuding an air of nonchalance, replied, "That would be me. Please take a seat." The Zhou Patriarch, not daring to delay, promptly instructed his attendants to arrange a nearby seat for Chen Pingyan. The Zhou family members, initially displeased with Chen Pingyan, found themselves compelled to suppress their discontent in light of the Patriarch's approval. Though they refrained from showing him overt hostility, their allegiance remained with Qin Lang, occasionally offering him praise. As the host concluded the reading of the gift list, many gazes in the banquet shifted towards Qin Lang. While they might forget anyone else, they could never overlook the esteemed young heir of the Qin family, who had personally graced the occasion with his presence. However, this is the legitimate lineage of the Yin Jingqin family. The future sole heir, and their closeness to Zhou Ziqing from the Zhou family, is evident, suggesting a complex relationship between the two. At such a moment, what kind of gift would Qin Lang present? This is something everyone eagerly anticipates. Not only the guests and the Zhou family's direct descendants, but even the elderly patriarch of the Zhou family cannot help but cast his gaze upon Qin Lang. Unlike the fervor of others, Zhou Ziqing wears a curious expression, pondering whether Qin Lang's presence here is truly for the birthday celebration or if he harbors some other intention. Otherwise, how could one forget to bring a gift? With her keen insight, she has noticed that since Qin Lang helped her avoid a calamity and took his seat, he has been consciously or unconsciously avoiding conversation with her, as if burdened by some secret thoughts he refuses to share. Chun Pingyin, amused, remarked, "Could it be? Is it possible that young Master Qin attends the birthday banquet without bringing anything? Does he believe that his noble status alone merits attendance and bestows sufficient regard upon the elder Zhou?" Unbeknownst to him, as he observes the affectionate interaction between Zhou Ziqing and Qin Lang, a haze of discontent settles in Chun Pingyin's heart, as if something vital is missing, and he feels a simmering resentment. Unable to contain himself any longer, he muttered a retort. Qin Lang remained indifferent, dismissing Chun Pingyin's words as mere nonsense. He gazed bitterly at Zhou Ziqing, lowering his head in a tone tinged with anguish. "Ziqing, I am truly sorry. I never anticipated you would be here today. Yet, even if you choose to ignore me from now on, or even despise me, there are certain matters I must attend to." With that, he retrieved his mobile phone and sent a text message. Moments later, a group of uniformed officials stormed into the Zhou family villa, as if they had meticulously prepared for this operation, each advancing to apprehend a member of the Zhou family. "What are you doing? How dare you arrest people at random? Let me go. This is the Zhou family. Are you above the law? I will call the police." Zhou Ziqing's aunt cried out in desperation, prompting her relatives to echo her outcry. The leader of the group, a stern-faced middle-aged man, declared, "I am the police, Zhou Tianming. You are suspected of involvement in a serious case. Please accompany us." Another official added, "Zhang Jiayan, you are also under arrest for gathering unlawfully." The officers were plainclothes detectives from Tianhai City, led by a newly appointed deputy chief, all unfamiliar faces to the Zhou family, who had not been forewarned of this impending visit. The guests who had gathered to celebrate the Zhou family's birthday were left stunned, their eyes wide with shock at the unfolding scene. What on earth is happening? Is this truly the gift from young Master Qin? The apprehended Zhou family members, their expressions filled with rage, glared in Chun Pingyin's direction, wishing nothing more than to tear him apart. It was this very individual who, for no apparent reason, sought to provoke young Master Qin. Now, it seemed, the gift had arrived, sending the Zhou family straight to a prison cell. Chun Pingyin felt utterly bewildered. Why are they all looking at me? Was it not Qin Lang who summoned these individuals? He is not the one who led the charge against the Zhou family. In this moment, to place blame upon Qin Lang seems utterly unjust, as if he were the one at fault. "Father, save me. Father, I dread the thought of imprisonment. Grandfather, rescue me. I am still so young, merely a child." One by one, the members of the Zhou family, as they were dragged away, turned back, their legs scraping against the ground, calling out desperately for help. The old patriarch of the Zhou family felt his heart wrench in agony. To encounter such calamity on a day that should have been joyous was infuriating. Yet, it was Qin Lang who had summoned them, an individual he could not afford to offend. He could only rise and humbly plead, "Young Master Qin, is there perhaps a misunderstanding in this matter? It is possible that the Zhou family has erred in certain respects, but we are willing to amend our ways. Ziqing, please assist your grandfather. I implore you to intercede with young Master Qin on our behalf." Before Zhou Ziqing could respond, Qin Lang let out a heavy sigh, gazing into Zhou Ziqing's somewhat dazed eyes, and bitterly replied, "Ziqing, I find myself powerless in this situation. You can only blame your family for their numerous wrongdoings. My purpose in coming here was to address this very issue. Now that the individuals have been taken away, it is time for me to leave. In the future, if fate does not allow our paths to cross again, I must apologize." Qin Lang arrived with great fanfare and departed with equal bravado. With a flick of his sleeve, he ushered a significant number of direct descendants of the Zhou family into imprisonment. No one dared utter a single word, nor did anyone have the audacity to obstruct his path, leaving behind a throng of stunned guests and members of the Zhou family. The old patriarch, in a state of agitation, stood above, watching Qin Lang's departing figure, his body swaying perilously before he expelled a mouthful of dark blood and collapsed straight backward. "Grandfather, A swarm of young Zhou relatives, still innocent and yet to engage in misdeeds, rushed forward, frantic like ants on a hot pan. Only Zhou Ziqing stood aloof, her expression indifferent as she regarded the fallen patriarch, her heart a tumult of emotions. Today would all past grievances cease? With the old patriarch's demise and her uncle and aunt apprehended, would her resentment towards the Zhou family dissipate? Perhaps, with the enemies gone, whom would she harbor hatred for? Yet, in her heart, she had never found it within herself to forgive the old patriarch and those accomplices who turned a blind eye. Chapter 141. The body of profound Yin, untreatable by medicine, detonating the mind, the entire hall of the Zhou family villa descended into chaos. The patriarch's collapse sent the remaining members of the Zhou family into a frenzy. Even Zhou Ziqing, who had been standing in a daze, seemed momentarily paralyzed by fear. At this critical juncture for the patriarch's life and death, Chun Pingan stepped forward, his face stern, issuing a severe reprimand. "What are you all doing standing around? The patient requires fresh air, and your presence is suffocating him. Are you intent on causing his demise?" His shouts startled the anxious members of the Zhou family, forcing them to part and clear a path. Chun Pingan stepped forward, crouched down, and began to take the pulse, his brow occasionally furrowing and then relaxing. He retrieved a series of silver needles from the box he carried and deftly inserted them into the forehead and heart area of the elderly Mr. Zhou. As the needles were continuously manipulated, beads of sweat began to emerge on Chun Pingan's forehead, accumulating densely, and his complexion took on a pallid hue. The observing guests and members of the Zhou family began to murmur softly. Just now, it seemed that the old man referred to this youth as a divine physician. He truly possesses remarkable skills. Such mastery of needlework could not be achieved without decades of practice. Yet how young is he? Did he learn to needle while still in the womb? Look, the old man is reacting. He is waking up. The old man has awakened. A voice called out, drawing everyone's attention toward Mr. Zhou. There he was, with a trace of congealed blood at the corner of his mouth, gradually rousing from his stupor. He placed his hand on Chun Pingan's arm and exclaimed with heartfelt gratitude, "Divine physician, you are indeed a divine physician. Had it not been for your intervention, I would have surely lost my life today. How could one not be awed?" Even now, reflecting upon it, Mr. Zhou felt a surge of fear within. Although he harbored a hidden ailment, it was the first time he had fainted from anger-induced blood loss. Fortunately, Chun Pingan was present today. Otherwise, not only would a group of Zhou family's direct descendants have been captured, but he, the one in power, would also have perished. The Zhou family would have been destined for decline. A mere trifle, hardly worth mentioning. Chun Pingan smiled, gently advising, "Though there are those who have acted unscrupulously today, your health is still too fragile to provoke anger. A moment's carelessness could exacerbate your hidden ailment, leading to irreparable consequences. It is fortunate that I am here, otherwise, even calling for an ambulance would have been too late." "Thank you, divine physician," Mr. Zhou said earnestly, grasping Chun Pingan's hand. Amidst the collective sigh of relief from the crowd, Zhou Ziqing's eyes brimmed with profound disappointment and resentment. He survived? He came back to life. Why? Why did this fellow, Chun Pingan, have to save him? Would it not be better for him to die? An elderly man lacking morality and respect. Would it not be an end to all troubles if he perished? Zhou Ziqing's previously tranquil mindset was now completely shaken. It was as if Qin Lang had ignited hope within her, allowing her to envision a future where her grievances were avenged. Yet before she could fully acclimate to this vision, Chun Pingan abruptly intruded, shattering all her dreams into pieces. Suddenly, a simple-minded middle-aged man approached, gazing intently at Chun Pingan, and softly inquired, "Little divine physician, might you be able to assist in examining Ziqing's condition? This child has had a peculiar ailment since childhood, occasionally enveloped by a chilling aura, to the extent that at times she cannot care for herself." "Oh, Professor, Zhou has such an unusual affliction?" Chun Pingan felt a surge of delight within, masking his curiosity. Old Master Zhou glanced towards Zhou Ziqing, a flicker of inscrutable depth flashing in his eyes. He then spoke, "Little divine doctor, Ziqing indeed has this affliction. I wonder if you might be able to assist in her treatment?" Chun Pingan chuckled awkwardly. "I am merely a student of Professor Zhou. Even if she bears no relation to the Zhou family, upon learning of her hidden ailment, I could not remain indifferent." Zhou Ziqing's father became animated, exclaiming, "Wonderful! Please, little divine doctor, do lend your expertise." Descending from the high platform, Chun Pingan approached Zhou Ziqing, who still stood by the table, and inquired with a smile, "Professor Zhou, may I take your pulse?" Zhou Ziqing, with a frigid demeanor, felt discomfort at Chun Pingan's expression. which now bore a hint of concern rather than the usual indifference. She shook her head and declined. I am well aware of my own body. There is already someone capable of treating me. There is no need to trouble you, divine Dr. Chun. Before Qin Pingan could respond, Zhou Ziqing's father interjected sharply. Ziqing, do not be unreasonable. We have all witnessed divine Dr. Chen's prowess. To have him offer his assistance is a tremendous blessing. How can you refuse? Zhou Ziqing turned her head, gazing bitterly at her father, who was now shouting at her. This was indeed the countenance of a strict father. Yet for reasons unbeknownst to her, Zhou Ziqing felt an acute pain in her heart, akin to being pierced by needles. Was this truly her biological father? A man who dared not speak against familial reprimands, who knew his wife had succumbed to the shame inflicted by old Master Zhou and had taken her own life. A man who cowered before outsiders, yet struck forcefully at his own daughter? Huh. Zhou Ziqing laughed, not in derision of her father's cowardice, but in mockery of herself. What was she truly yearning for? The hope that her father would stand up against the old master who drove his wife to despair. Or perhaps to wish for him to be her shelter from the storm. Reality delivered a resounding slap to her face. She was not Na'vi. Her father was not Na'vi either. Was it truly just for her health? Perhaps not. He had witnessed the arrest of many family members favored by the old master, leaving only his own son. Thus, he sought to align her with Chun Pingan, thinking of his own advantage in the family dynamics. With mutual intentions, one seeking her well-being, the other striving for greater influence within the family. They both aimed to push her towards Chun Pingan. In the midst of her despair, Zhou Ziqing extended her wrist. This would be her final act of submission and the last time she would heed her biological father's command. Chun Pingan extended 2 fingers to check her pulse. And as he did so, his brow furrowed increasingly. Zhou Ziqing's father, filled with trepidation, asked, can she be cured? If not, how will I ever be able to leverage my daughter's value and align myself with divine Dr. Chun, the one who holds the old master's fate? It was evident to all that Chun Pingan held a particular interest in his daughter. Chun Pingan furrowed his brow. Professor Zhou did not suffer from a conventional illness, but rather possessed a constitution known as the Xianing body. Whenever the Yin energy surged, he would be beset by a counteracting chill. Logically speaking, this was a condition deemed incurable by any medicinal remedy. Yet, the narrative took an unexpected turn. Yet what? Professor Zhou's father pressed anxiously, feeling as though his life had plunged into darkness upon hearing the initial part of the statement. However, with the utterance of yet, a glimmer of hope illuminated his thoughts. There was still a chance for salvation. Chun Pingan sighed. For those unacquainted with the art of cultivation, the Xianing body was akin to a lethal poison, ensuring one would not survive past the age of 30, regardless of the rarest herbs employed. Only the pure yang body could harmonize with the Xianing body, alleviating the symptoms of the chill's outbreak, or even leading to a complete recovery. It just so happened that I am of the pure yang body. The atmosphere in the room grew somewhat peculiar. Nevertheless, no one dared to speak out at that moment, for they had all witnessed Chun Pingan's miraculous revival of the elder Zhou. If only Qin Lang were present, he would undoubtedly have given Chun Pingan a thumbs up for such audacious claims. Truly, the son of fortune. Such unabashed words from his lips transformed into a spirit of selflessness and bravery. Unlike Qin Lang, who lacked culture and the notion of self-sacrifice, merely stating, if you wish to live until 30, you must let me play a little. If that is not enough, then I must play a bit more. Chun Pingan took a deep breath before continuing. The chill within Professor Zhou has significantly subsided. I suspect he has just experienced a recent bout of its backlash. This is an unavoidable stage that accompanies aging, and the outbreaks will become increasingly frequent until he is ultimately consumed by the frost, frozen into an ice sculpture. This cannot be allowed to happen. Ziqing is still so young. She has a bright future ahead of her that she has yet to enjoy. Little miracle worker, you must intervene and cure Ziqing's affliction. Professor Zhou's father implored, his face etched with fear. The elder of the Zhou family approached, placing a hand on Chun Pingan's shoulder, and said earnestly, little miracle worker, you mentioned earlier that you were the bodyguard and personal physician of Chu Tianpeng. I wonder if it would be possible for our Zhou family to engage your services as well? Whatever some Chu Tianpeng is willing to pay, we shall offer tenfold. As you mentioned, Ziqing's condition is unstable, and, as her grandfather, I cannot rest easy for a moment. Perhaps you could reside with Ziqing, should any issues arise. There would be someone to attend to her. Professor Zhou's father nodded in agreement. Indeed, such advice is most apt. It would not only ensure Ziqing's safety, but also allow her to attend to your daily needs. A perfect arrangement. Chun Pingyan chuckled awkwardly. That is not out of the question, for I fear Professor Zhou's body may not withstand another bout of chill backlash. The brief exchange among the three seemed to have irrevocably determined the future of Zhou Ziqing. Yet, did Zhou Ziqing truly wish to accept these imposed benevolences? As she observed Chun Pingyan conversing jovially with her biological father and the elderly patriarch, an uncontrollable loathing surged within her. How could such shameless individuals exist in the world? Was it truly, as Qin Lang had remarked, akin to a flaunting trickster of the underworld? Had it not been for the last outbreak of her cold ailment, which Qin Lang had effortlessly subdued, she might have indeed fallen prey to Chun Pingyan's nonsensical rhetoric. Compared to Qin Lang, who habitually sought trifling advantages yet maintained seriousness in critical matters, Chun Pingyan, who superficially appeared virtuous while harboring a sordid heart, was 1,000-fold more despicable. Without a hint of doubt, the elderly patriarch commanded that the luxurious EG No. 1 villa, conveniently located near Tianhai University, would serve as residence for the little divine doctor and Ziqing, facilitating their daily lives. Chun Pingyan, elated, nodded in understanding. However, at that moment, Zhou Ziqing coldly interjected, "If cohabitation is to occur, you shall do so with him. I refuse to heed any further commands from you. You dare." Zhou Ziqing's father momentarily darkened in countenance. The Zhou family has raised you, nurtured you to this age, and you not only feel no gratitude, but also dare to defy the elderly patriarch's orders? Zhou Ziqing let out a light laugh. It was my mother who gave me life and raised me. What connection do I have with the Zhou family? After her death, all her company and assets were consumed by your family. What do I owe you? If we must speak of debts, it is your family that owes my mother and me. With the mask of pretense torn away, Zhou Ziqing felt no ties to the Zhou family. What was there to cling to with such individuals? Her biological father, who could treat his daughter as a mere bargaining chip, and a patriarch unwilling to spare his own daughter-in-law. In such a tainted family, where could she possibly find a place to thrive? A severance was indeed a severance. She could only harbor hatred, disdainful that the wretched had not yet met their demise. Chun Pingyan felt bewildered, as if he were a fool, ensnared in ignorance of many matters. He had saved the elderly patriarch and could aid Zhou Ziqing in curing her cold ailment. Logically, she ought to be filled with gratitude. Why then did she react so vehemently? Moreover, the warmth and kindness that had once characterized her gaze had been replaced with uncontainable disgust. His mind buzzed, as if something essential had been stripped away, intangible and unseen. Someone, take Zhou Ziqing away. Disgraceful wretch. The elderly patriarch's face darkened, feeling that this was the most humiliating day of his life. To prevent Zhou Ziqing from spiraling into madness and revealing unspoken truths, he had no choice but to resort to coercive measures. Several bodyguards, upon hearing his command, advanced to apprehend Zhou Ziqing. At the entrance, a considerable number of plainclothes police officers, who had apprehended a substantial faction from the Zhou family, returned to stand before Chun Pingyan, presenting a silver bracelet. "Mr. Chun, the matter regarding the medical license you purchased has been revealed by a compromised witness. Please accompany us for a brief discussion." Despite the gravity of the situation, Chun Pingyan found it difficult to suppress his frustration, cursing inwardly. What was going on? He had only just been released, and now he was being taken in again? And it was a compromised witness who exposed him? Why did they not mention anything when they arrested the Zhou family members earlier? Was this some sort of game? Were they waiting until he had intervened to save the Zhou family elder before confirming the charges? The deputy director leading the operation paid no heed to Chun Pingyan's inner turmoil, instead smiling at Zhou Ziqing, offering reassurance. "Professor Zhou, if you wish to leave, you are welcome to join us." "Thank you." Zhou Ziqing nodded, stepping alongside the deputy director. The Zhou family elder's expression was icy. "Is this not excessive? While taking away the lawbreakers is one thing, must you also interfere in our private matters?" The deputy director smirked, advising, "Consider your actions wisely. If you wish to keep something hidden, it is best not to engage in it at all." He continued, "Professor Zhou is free to go. However, should you attempt to detain him unlawfully, you may find the consequences dire." Suddenly, a series of notifications echoed in Qin Lang's mind as he lay in bed, each sound invigorating his spirit. Alert! The luck of the favored one, Chun Pingyan, has decreased by 500 points. Congratulations, host, you have gained 10,000 villain points. Alert! The luck of the favored one, Chun Pingyan, has decreased by 1,000 points. Congratulations, host, you have gained 20,000 villain points. Alert! The female lead, Zhou Ziqing's favorability has increased. Congratulations, host, you have gained 1,000 villain points. Alert! The female lead, Zhou Ziqing, has severed ties with the favored one. Congratulations, host. You have gained 5,000 villain points. Listening to the system's prompts, Qin Lang felt a sense of clarity. Everything had been meticulously arranged. He merely needed to make an appearance to ignite the fuse, and the events would unfold as planned. Whether it was Zhou Depan's bloodshed at the banquet or Zhou Ziqing's mysterious condition, everything had been thoroughly orchestrated. Poor Chun Pinyin might still be relishing his newfound freedom, unaware that he was merely allowed to wander for a brief moment before being returned to confinement once the villain points had been accrued. Did he truly believe he could win the affection of beauty? Such delusions were laughable. Fortunately for Chun Pinyin, his unique skills and notable prowess had kept him safe. Otherwise, he would have been long since assassinated by the blood-red mandala. This obstinate woman only submitted to him. Had it been any other man, particularly those aligned with his greatest enemies, they would have relished the chance to see him utterly destroyed. As Qin Lang was deep in thought, a notification chimed on his phone. Upon checking, he discovered a message from Zhou Ziqing. Thank you for today's events. Although I am unsure how you learned about the secrets of the Zhou family, your actions have alleviated years of pent-up frustration within me. It is unfortunate that Zhou Depan, the most malevolent of them all, has escaped retribution, having been saved by Chun Pingon. Qin Lang chuckled softly at the message. It was hardly surprising that Zhou Depan was rescued by Chun Pingon. Given the latter's penchant for meddling in affairs, he would certainly seize such an opportunity to show off. However, was Zhou Depan truly unscathed? Such optimism was misplaced. The poison induced by the blood-red mandala was not easily remedied. It was merely a temporary reprieve. Soon enough, he would succumb to its effects. Nonetheless, this bore little significance for Qin Lang, as Zhou Depan had already ensnared Chun Pingon, thereby diminishing his own worth. After a moment's reflection, Qin Lang replied, Zhou Laoshi, you really ought not to have gone to the Zhou residence today. It is akin to stepping into a den of danger. As for your assertion of me helping you, that is a mere coincidence. Zhou Ziqing responded, please do not regard me as a fool. If it were not for your careful preparations, I fear I would have been imprisoned by the Zhou family by now. Thankfully, I was rescued by the arriving deputy director. Also, please refrain from calling me teacher in the future. You refer to me as Ziqing today, which sounds delightful. Regardless, today's events have lifted a burden that has weighed upon my heart for over a decade. You have avenged me, and I must repay you. Speak your wish. I shall not refuse, provided it is within my ability. Ah, with Zhou Ziqing's words, Qin Lang realized that his actions were not mere chance. They had been a deliberate effort to assist her. His spirits soared, and he felt invigorated. Ziqing, about your daily uniform, I have grown weary of it. Do you have any photos of alternative outfits, particularly those that showcase your figure? Qin Lang cautiously sent a message. Knowing well that Zhou Ziqing harbored a particular fondness for vanity, especially regarding her physique, often indulging in selfies. If she were to lower her guard or draw closer to him, she might share such images. Ding! Images! Ding! 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 One by one, photos were swiftly dispatched to Qin Lang's phone without hesitation. The first image displayed Zhou Ziqing in form-fitting attire, clad in black stockings, revealing her alluring curves. Her figure was striking, with not a trace of excess flesh, and her slender waist was delicate enough to be grasped with a single hand. Who could have imagined that someone with such a brutal physique and those long, slender legs like Zhou Ziqing would possess a waist so delicate? Her figure is simply exquisite. Beneath the black stockings lies a beach swimsuit, a sight that even the seasoned Qin Lang could not help but gasp at. How to describe it? Some girls dress in a rather revealing manner, and even when standing before you in a swimsuit, they may not be particularly striking. Yet Zhou Ziqing, who could be so serious in public yet extraordinarily alluring in private, creates a stark contrast, is truly commendable. Master, what are you looking at? Su Xiaoxiao puffed her cheeks, a hint of annoyance as she leaned closer, eager to glimpse the information on Qin Lang's phone. She sensed that he wasn't engrossed in anything particularly respectable. Her instincts told her that something was amiss with him. Just as she leaned in, the screen went dark. With a soft huff, she felt a pang of jealousy, knowing well that he was likely viewing some beautiful woman. Normally, she wouldn't mind, but at this moment, the thought of him looking at other girls was unbearable. Master, Xiao Xiao really likes you. Please don't leave me, all right? Su Xiaoxiao murmured weakly, pouting as she inched closer. Qin Lang merely responded with a vague sound, setting his phone aside. Do you prefer boys or girls? Can I help you have one? Su Xiaoxiao asked timidly. wrapping her arms around Qin Lang's neck. Perhaps influenced by the teachings of the director, she often felt insecure when alone, thinking that if she had a child with him, those worries might dissipate. Qin Lang replied, "Of course, but you must think it through. If it happens, those outside 1T be able to enter, and those inside 1T be able to leave. Should your lips wear out from speaking, don't blame me." Chapter 144. Lin Xier's aspirations, even with such profound words. Su Xiaoxiao was momentarily perplexed. After some time, she deciphered the meaning through Qin Lang's mischievous gaze, letting out a playful huff as she instinctively sat down. Her intention was to act coy, yet in doing so, she unwittingly contributed to global warming. Some individuals simply overestimate themselves, ultimately suffering the consequences. With a hint of grievance, she murmured, "Master, if you ever stop liking me, please don't drive me away, all right? What nonsense are you thinking? How could I ever bear to send you away?" Qin Lang replied with a wry smile, kissing her cheeks tenderly, feeling a pang of sympathy. "If you want a child, then so be it. I wouldn't oppose." Nestled in his embrace, Su Xiaoxiao remained silent for a while, rubbing her cheek against his chest, and timidly whispered, "Perhaps it's better to wait." She took his jest to heart, and still lost in her own thoughts. Qin Lang gently tapped his forehead with his hand. Su Xiaoxiao pouted and shook her head, insisting that she was not daydreaming anymore. Such a contradiction. Qin Lang chuckled. If Su Xiaoxiao truly was not indulging in fanciful thoughts, would she not let him off the hook? In Tianhai City, the artificial lake reflected the serene tranquility of the evening glow. A small wooden boat drifted conspicuously near the shore. Lin Xier sat at one end of the boat, her head bowed in a bashful manner. When Qin Gige had lifted her onto the boat, she wondered if it was intentional that he kept brushing his hand against her thigh. Surely, it could not have been deliberate. Qin Gige was such an upright person. How could he engage in such petty actions? Besides, he had no need to be so underhanded. If he wished to touch her, he could simply say so. She certainly would not object. "Qin Gige, what are you looking at?" After a while, Lin Xier lifted her head, observing Qin Lang gazing out over the lake. With curiosity, she inquired, "Are you busy? If you have matters to attend to, you can return first. I can manage on my own in the wheelchair. It's all my mother's fault," she added. "She insisted you take me out. I would already be quite content if you could just come by daily for acupuncture." Qin Lang withdrew his gaze from the water and smiled. "Not at all. Annie entrusted me with taking you out alone because she trusts me. I am quite pleased to do so." He had brought Lin Xier out to the lake knowing that something significant was about to unfold. However, after waiting for considerable time, he had yet to see Zhou Zaching's figure. Could it be that he had misremembered? No, today was indeed Zhou Laote's birthday celebration. The moment Su Xiaoxiao had been called away by the dean, he had come out, specifically arranging for a boat to be prepared here. Was it possible that his efforts would yield nothing? Lost in thought, Qin Lang inadvertently caught sight of Lin Xier, who had lowered her head in disappointment. He seized the opportunity to initiate a conversation. Have there been any developments regarding the new location for the noodle shop? Lin Xier raised her head, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "My parents have already found a new location near the Commerce City, where a chain snack shop has recently closed down. We checked it out, and it has a high foot traffic. Moreover, there are no other noodle shops in the vicinity, so opening one there would surely be profitable. By your account, it sounds like a recipe for great success." Qin Lang joked as he sat beside Lin Xier, gently brushing a stray piece of fluff from her hair. "I shall have to take good care of you, the future little Tycoon." Lin Xier blushed. "It's not as exaggerated as you say, Qin Gige. Noodle shops aren't as lucrative as they seem, and we keep our prices quite low. After deducting rent and employee wages, there isn't much left. However, it will definitely earn more than a noodle shop in a snack street." Leaning back against the boat's edge, Qin Lang rested his hands behind his head and laughed. "Your parents are not getting any younger, and here you are, still in school, already earmarking yourself as the future proprietress. In light of the discussion, one cannot help but reflect. I recall that during my childhood, my father aspired to expand our noodle shop. However, due to the necessity of caring for my legs, which demanded substantial financial resources, this ambition was thwarted. Although we were not in dire straits, the prospect of having surplus funds to acquire additional establishments was rendered impossible. I am immensely grateful to you, Brother Qin. Otherwise, I would remain oblivious as to when this dream might materialize." As Lin Xier spoke, her exquisite eyes sparkled with anticipation for the future. "Truth be told, my aspirations are not grand. I merely yearn for the day when I can own a noodle shop of my own after graduation, serving steaming bowls of noodles to bustling customers. which would bring me profound satisfaction. She cast a fleeting glance towards Qin Lang and softly inquired, Brother Qin, how much longer until I can stand on my own 2 feet? It will require further acupuncture. Recovery is imminent, Qin Lang assured her with attentive comfort. You seem particularly anxious about standing lately. While it is natural to yearn for healing, your daily inquiries are somewhat peculiar. Lin Sierra tucked her disheveled hair behind her ear, the gentle breeze ruffling it like ripples upon a lake's surface, her beautiful eyes gazing intently at Qin Lang's face. She remained silent, yet her thoughts were consumed by the fact that the noodle shop still lacked a proprietor. Chapter 145. Does the little antagonist desire a heroic rescue? As the spring breeze stirred, the lake shimmered with cerulean waves, and the evening wind caressed the wooden boat, cradling it gently, lulling one into a state of drowsiness. Lin Sierra reclined on the wooden planks, extending her hands over the boat's edge, peering through her fingers at the distant sunset. Time flowed quietly and swiftly. Suddenly, a cacophony erupted from the shore, and a voice bellowed, "Row the boat over here. I purchased this vessel. How much will you take?" Startled, Lin Sierra straightened up and turned her gaze towards the shore, where a familiar face emerged. It was Li Minghui, one of the notorious 4 heirs of Tianhai University. Known for his arrogance and belligerence, he had once sent a young woman's boyfriend to the hospital for a month over a dispute concerning her. Feeling a surge of trepidation, Lin Sierra glanced at Qin Lang. He yawned, leisurely adjusting his posture to observe the commotion at the shore. Upon recognizing Li Minghui and noticing the crowd gathered by the lake, a thrill of excitement coursed through her. Was a dramatic event unfolding? Surely, someone must have fallen into the water. Lin Sierra, row the boat over here. I paid for it, hurry. Li Minghui shouted, oblivious to Qin Lang's presence. The vastness of Tianhai University meant he could not possibly know everyone. His heart raced with urgency. He had witnessed someone fall into the artificial lake not far away. Initially, he had thought little of it. After all, why concern himself with others' misfortunes? However, midway, a woman had leapt into the water to save the drowning person, an absolutely stunning professor from Tianhai University. Damn it, this now pertained to him. The classic tale of a hero rescuing a damsel in distress was an unparalleled strategy to win her heart. If he were to extend his assistance at this pivotal moment, surely his standing in Professor Yu's esteem would rise significantly. Even upon seeing Lin Sierra, the commoner campus belle, seated on a boat with a stranger, jealousy did not stir within him. His singular focus was to procure the boat and rescue those in peril. Qin Lang cast a glance at the anxious Li Minghui, who seemed on the verge of bouncing off the ground, and couldn't help but chuckle. He retrieved an oar from the wooden vessel and gestured towards the shore, asking, "Is this what you need?" "Yes. Row over here." Li Minghui waved towards Qin Lang while gazing into the distance. In a moment of distraction, he heard a rush of wind, looked up, and was startled to see a large oar hurtling towards his face from 8 or 9 meters away. With a thud, the oar hit the ground, and Li Minghui, wide-eyed, stared at the oar beside him in disbelief. "What the hell? Have I encountered an idiot? I asked Qin Lang to row over, and instead, he throws the oar at me? What kind of game is this?" Were it not for his eagerness to win Zhou Ziqing's affection, he would have surely lingered there, curious to see if Qin Lang would even make it to shore. Frustrated by the impossibility of rowing to rescue anyone, Li Minghui dashed towards the crowd. After a considerable distance from the wooden boat, he leaped into the lake. At this moment, Lin Sierra noticed something amiss. The vast artificial lake was dotted with a few splashes, which was entirely normal. Perhaps someone was swimming. However, a crowd had gathered on the shore, pointing and whispering, and that felt decidedly odd. "Brother Qin, it seems someone has fallen into the water over there." Lin Sierra pointed anxiously towards a spot in the lake where large ripples were forming, casting a glance at the discarded oar on the shore. Yet, having just thrown the oar away, there was no way they could rescue anyone now, and returning to the shore would take quite some time. "Do not worry. Who needs oars to row in this day and age?" Qin Lang smiled, moving to the rear of the small boat and rotating a lever-like mechanism in the water by 180 degrees. With one hand gripping the boat's edge and the other manipulating the lever, the engine roared to life. Virum, virum. The engine of the wooden boat thundered, sending waves crashing, as it sped rapidly towards the point where someone had fallen. While it could not compare to a speedboat, it was many times faster than the pace of a swimmer. Earlier, he had rowed the boat across the lake with Lin Sierra, creating a picturesque scene. However, knowing in advance that Zhou Ziqing would fall into the water while attempting a rescue, Qin Lang had surely made the necessary preparations. In less than 3 minutes, The wooden boat arrived at the location of the incident amidst the roaring engine. Zhou Ziqing was desperately reaching for the surface, while behind her, an older girl clung to her like an octopus, sinking deeper into the lake. If Zhou Ziqing exhausted her strength, both of them would surely be doomed. Qin Lang reached out, grasping Zhou Ziqing's shoulder, and with a firm tug, he pulled both her and the weight dragging her down onto the boat. Lin Xier exclaimed in astonishment, "Teacher Zhou, how could it be you? It is of no consequence. There is no time for explanations." Zhou Ziqing wiped the water from his face, too anxious to respond, urgently addressing Qin Lang. "Hurry, save her. This girl has been submerged for too long." "Understood," Qin Lang thought to himself, suppressing a smile, yet maintaining a serious facade. He grasped the girl and laid her horizontally upon the raised deck of the wooden boat. After delivering several firm thrusts to her back, he watched as she coughed up a few mouthfuls of lake water, deciding not to continue his efforts further. "I truly do not know how to express my gratitude," Zhou Ziqing remarked, reflecting on how he had initially intended to save her, but had overestimated his own capabilities. Surprisingly, as he swam to the girl, she clung to him tightly, exhausting all his strength merely to stay afloat, let alone swim to the shore. He nearly believed he was on the brink of death. Still shaken, Zhou Ziqing gazed at Qin Lang's face, feeling an odd mixture of emotions. Having just returned from his Zhou family's birthday celebration, she had finally found a moment of peace. Contemplating the misfortunes befalling her family, she felt an inexplicable thrill of vengeance fulfilled. In her joyous mood, she had taken a stroll, only to unwittingly find herself near the artificial lake, where she encountered the drowning girl. At her most helpless and desperate moment, Qin Lang had appeared, pulling her back from the brink of despair. Is there truly such a fate in the world? Zhou Ziqing pondered, a notion she would have dismissed outright in the past. Yet now, after meeting Qin Lang, everything felt so enigmatic. Indeed, were it not for the chaotic series of events surrounding her encounters with Qin Lang, intertwining throughout her life, she would almost suspect some unseen force was orchestrating these occurrences. Otherwise, how could such miraculous happenings take place? When she faced peril on the streets, it was Qin Lang who came to her aid. Lin Xier, both a disciple and friend, would have her existence transformed by Qin Lang. When misfortune struck the Zhou family, it was Qin Lang who intervened. Even in her dire moment of drowning, it was Qin Lang who extended a helping hand. Even she, at this moment, gazed into Qin Lang's beautiful eyes, feeling an inexplicable sentiment blossoming within her. Before this feeling could fully develop, Qin Lang interrupted. "Let's not dwell on that. We must return to the shore." With that, he moved to the rear of the boat, turning the handle with determination. The engine roared to life, sending splashes of water flying in all directions. Just as Li Minghui managed to scramble to the side of the boat, he opened his mouth to speak, only to be met by a wave of white foam that filled his mouth. Once the water subsided and he expelled a large mouthful of lake water, he glared at the wooden boat as it made a wide circle on the lake, particularly at Qin Lang seated at the stern, his eyes reddening in fury. No wonder he had tossed the oars to him earlier. This little wooden boat was equipped with a damned engine. Just wait. He would make Qin Lang pay for this. After he returns, following Lin Xier's lead, he must locate Qin Lang and ensure he understands why the flowers bloom so brilliantly. Chapter 146. The Dance of Proximity and Distance, the Anxiety of Gain and Loss. What a lovely young lady, both beautiful and kind-hearted. I commend you. Has the young girl wed yet? I happen to have a nephew, 30 years of age, a graduate from a prestigious university, now serving as a minor leader in a state-owned enterprise. What if you share your contact information? I could arrange something for you. Do not heed this old man's words. My son is merely 27, handsome and talented. Once ashore, the rescued girl was comforted, and a crowd of elderly onlookers gathered around Zhou Ziqing, eager to play matchmaker. On one hand, Zhou Ziqing's bravery had genuinely touched the hearts of the elderly. On the other hand, her striking beauty captivated not only the youth, but also the older generation. As the ancients said, a broad rear is a sign of fertility. This aptly describes a mature and graceful woman like Zhou Ziqing. No, thank you, dear uncles and aunts, I must return. Zhou Ziqing smiled wryly and waved her hands, and upon seeing the little girl awaken and no longer in danger, she found a gap in the crowd and slipped away. Approaching Qin Lang by the shore, she extended an invitation. You have been a tremendous help to me today, and words of gratitude fall short. I had planned to treat you to a grand meal, but in my current disheveled state, I must return home to change. Why not come to my home with Sierra? I shall cook for you. It may not rival the delicacies of a grand restaurant, but it will suffice. Qin Lang, With one arm around Lynn Sierra's shoulders and the other supporting her beneath her knees, gently placed her in the wheelchair before turning back with a puzzled expression. Are we going to the staff dormitory? It's quite a distance from Tianhai University. Zhou Zuqing adjusted her shirt and tightened the buttons of her blazer, shaking her head. Not to the staff dormitory. We'll remain in this nearby community. Perhaps another time? Sierra's parents asked me to take her out for a stroll, and it's been quite a while. If I delay further, they may worry. After a moment of contemplation, Qin Lang reluctantly declined. Moreover, you are soaked through. You should return and take a warm bath to avoid catching a cold. You ought to be mindful of your health. Although I helped you counteract the chill last time, you are not fully recovered and need continued care. Zhou Ziqing bit her lip, gazing at Qin Lang for a long while, her beautiful eyes shimmering like rippling lake waters. After a brief pause, she glanced at Lin Sierra in the wheelchair and offered a bittersweet smile. Indeed, I shall take my leave now. The matter of treating you to dinner can be discussed another time. With that, she turned and left the artificial lake, her pace noticeably quicker than that of an ordinary person. Lin Sierra lifted her head, gazing at Qin Lang as profile, and softly murmured, Qin Gij. Why didn't you agree to teach her Zhou? She seems quite disappointed. Honestly, it wouldn't be a problem for me. I can inform my parents, or I could return home alone. Little fool, such a beautiful girl like you shouldn't return alone. What if a villain sets his sights on you? Your parents have entrusted you to me, and how could I not ensure your safety? Let us return home. It's merely a meal, and we can always dine another time. Qin Lang affectionately patted Lin Sierra on the head before guiding her wheelchair towards the snack street. Along the way, they engaged in light conversation, mostly trivial matters, with Lin Sierra doing most of the talking while Qin Lang interjected occasionally. Simultaneously, he discreetly retrieved his phone to compose a message. Rejecting Zhou Ziqing was not merely a display of Qin Lang's straightforwardness. It was a necessary phase. The fact is, Zhou Ziqing had an abundance of admirers surrounding her, most of whom had never experienced emotional turmoil, as she was the one consistently turning down suitors. Perhaps she had never contemplated it, but subconsciously, a fixed mindset had formed within her, centered around herself. All of Zhou Ziqing's friendliness was merely a means of reciprocation, and to call it gratitude would not be an exaggeration. If one were to discuss feelings, it was certain that she harbored some. Yet, she herself might struggle to differentiate between affection and gratitude. It was at such times that Qin Lang needed to take the initiative. Should he simply cater to Zhou Ziqing's affections? No, that would only diminish the significance of every prior gesture in her mind. The more she sought to express her gratitude, the more he needed to splash a cold reality check upon her, ensuring she remained lucid and not blinded by her desire to reciprocate. At the same time, it was imperative not to sever their connection completely. Over time, such a rupture could cause her feelings to fade. His task was to maintain a delicate distance while still engaging, thus preventing their emotional bond from fraying. He needed to show appropriate concern, ensuring Zhou Ziqing did not feel abandoned. To speak plainly, it was about maintaining an ambiguous closeness, instilling a sense of uncertainty in her. Ding! The next time such a situation arises, he must act with prudence. Never again with such recklessness. I understand your intention to save others, but you must also consider your own safety. If I had not fortuitously been nearby today, what would you have done? You might have ended up being dragged down by that drowning girl. While Shi'er was present, I refrained from scolding you, but now I must express my anger. I am frustrated that you do not prioritize your own safety. Should a similar circumstance arise again, don't expect me to join you for dinner or even to see you. Do you understand? With that lengthy message sent, Qin Lang took a deep breath, meticulously reviewing the text several times to ensure he had not misspoken before exhaling a sigh of relief. After a considerable period, a response arrived. Understood. Zhou Ziqing replied with just 3 words. Qin Lang glanced at the message and smiled. The Zhou Ziqing of old would never have responded with such brevity in their conversations. Clearly, when Zhou Ziqing sent this message, she was harboring some resentment and was undoubtedly upset. However, Qin Lang felt a sense of relief rather than anxiety. It was not Zhou Ziqing's anger that troubled him, but rather the thought of her being emotionally indifferent to the rejection, as if it did not affect her at all. After escorting Lin Sierra home, he settled into the back seat of the Maybach. The interior of the vehicle was punctuated intermittently by the sound of incoming text notifications. Junzi, with a peculiar expression, turned back and reminded him, Young master, someone is trying to reach you. Are you sure you don't want to check your messages? Perhaps a glance could alter our destination. Just drive. You've become increasingly cunning lately, Qin Lang retorted, rolling his eyes, yet he retrieved his phone to take a look. Several messages awaited him, all from Zhou Ziqing, the longest interval between them not exceeding 5 minutes. Got it. I'll be more mindful in the future. Did you get Sierra home safely? Though the noodles were delicious, one cannot indulge in them daily. Remember to eat a proper meal at home. I wasn't intentionally dismissive earlier. I was just feeling a bit unwell, though I can't quite pinpoint why. I apologize. I promise not to act so thoughtlessly again. Why the silence? Are you angry? Where are you? Why are you ignoring me? Chapter 147. I wonder how Chen Pingyan is faring inside? This urgency certainly disrupts any calm demeanor. Qin Lang glanced at the array of emoticons and decided not to linger any longer. He replied, I'm on the road, and forgot to respond. I thought you were choosing to ignore me. Zhou Ziqing, what are you imagining? How could I possibly not want to talk to you, my savior? I thought you were genuinely upset since you weren't replying. But wait, why did you return so early? Did your uncle and aunt not invite you to stay for dinner? Or are they preoccupied with finding a new shop and thus not home? Lin Sierra and Zhou Ziqing shared a close relationship, always keeping each other informed of any news. The matter of searching for a new shop was no secret. Even if her parents were absent, Sierra would still prepare meals. Their home was well stocked. And Sierra was an excellent cook. Qin Lang chuckled. Are you so eager for Sierra to cook for me? Zhou Ziqing. Well, not particularly. I wouldn't want to trouble Sierra. As they exchanged light-hearted banter, Qin Lang felt as though he had returned to his college days, reliving the experience of being in a relationship. The promptness of Zhou Ziqing's replies was quite delightful. Upon returning to the villa, Qin Lang seated himself on the sofa, set his phone aside, and turned to Junzi with a serious expression. How has the matter progressed? I haven't sent you to tail Chen Pingyan during this time. You haven't been slacking off, have you? Before the previous favored one, Yi Feng, met his demise, Junzi and the others have been working tirelessly in 3 shifts, utterly exhausted. Upon reaching Chen Pingyan's vicinity, one finds oneself frequently delving into the depths of the matter, subsisting on the public's resources, and engaging in predetermined activities, all without the necessity of tracking one's whereabouts. The tasks naturally assigned to Junzi and his companions could not possibly involve tailing Chen Pingyan. Most of the pressing issues have now been resolved, and it is high time for him to organize the forthcoming endeavors. Junzi promptly shook his head, exclaiming, How could that be? Even in the absence of pressing tasks, I would still arrange for the brothers to train, lest their skills languish. Moreover, the elderly gentleman you requested to locate has been found. This cantankerous old man is no ordinary individual. He detected our drone soaring at several hundred meters in altitude, persistently scrutinizing our activities. Despite this, several of our dispatch drones have been shot down by him. Thankfully, the images were relayed in real time. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to ascertain the old man's movements from a distance. Recalling the live broadcast that featured the elderly man, Junzi was struck by the intensity of his gaze, which hinted at a formidable presence, not to mention his remarkable feat of downing our drone with a stone. Is this old man truly adept at shooting down aircraft? Qin Lang furrowed his brow and inquired, Have the subsequent matters been handled? The elderly man that Junzi and the others were tasked to investigate was none other than Chen Pingyan's master, known as Old Ji. In the original narrative, he was undoubtedly a figure of greater significance than Chen Pingyan in the early stages. The unfortunate Yi Feng's trump card was the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, which could not even penetrate the borders abroad. However, Chen Pingyan's support resides domestically, and thus, one must remain vigilant to avoid inciting considerable trouble. Junzi hastily affirmed, Rest assured, it has been resolved. After the drone malfunctioned, I immediately dispatched personnel from the local transportation bureau to investigate, accusing the old man of maliciously damaging public property and obstructing topographical surveys. Initially, we intended to detain him for a few days, but he evaded capture with remarkable speed. Goodness, an offensive maneuver indeed. Qin Lang stared at Junzi in astonishment, feeling as though the few tricks he possessed had been appropriated by this old fellow. Subtly, he pondered whether he might unwittingly be nurturing a future antagonist. Well done. Just ascertain old G's whereabouts, and I require only his photograph. Qin Lang seemingly retrieved a cleansing elixir from his bosom, though it was actually procured from the system's inventory. He tossed it to Junzi, explaining that this precious pill, purchased at great expense, could refine one's essence and elevate physical prowess to a new echelon. You have been running about daily, in preparation for unforeseen circumstances. The stronger you are, the better. Young master, this is too extravagant. I am unworthy of such a precious elixir. You overestimate my value. I cannot accept this. Junzi expressed his gratitude while hastily stowing the cleansing elixir into his pocket. Qin Lang rolled his eyes and waved dismissively. Enough of that. Hurry along. Attend to your own affairs instead of constantly speculating on my intentions. Junzi sheepishly scratched the back of his head, clutching the elixir, and left with a beaming smile. Sighing, Qin Lang reclined on the sofa, reflecting on the events that had transpired. Despite the harsh words exchanged, Junzi's actions resonate deeply with him. If a formidable antagonist is to be cultivated, so be it. At least many matters can be managed without his direct involvement. With Junzi present, tasks can be executed smoothly without his explicit orders. While he harbors no significant concerns regarding loyalty, consolidating delegated power in a single individual's hands may not be entirely prudent. Even if he does not fear betrayal from Junzi, there remains a necessity to guard against potential errors that could lead to catastrophic outcomes. Presently, Junzi stands unrivaled in strength among those by his side. The only other contender is the recently allied Scarlet Mandala, whose demeanor is as frosty as her name suggests, seemingly a person of great ambition. However, her recklessness is evident, as demonstrated by her recent actions that have left Qin Lang in a state of bewilderment. Initially, Scarlet Mandala intended to eliminate him to assert her prowess, yet she has since taken to visiting him nightly, professing her intent to kill him, leaving Qin Lang with an uncanny feeling, as if she were providing a peculiar service. It is utterly absurd. The time has come to draw on the net. Leaning back against the sofa, he momentarily sets aside the issue of delegated authority, murmuring softly. Currently, all the daughters of fortune are ensnared by him in a web of fate. Even without Qin Pingin's involvement, the forthcoming events have already been sealed. Retaining Qin Pingin is more of a liability than an asset. When the time comes, he must be dealt with. One wonders what rewards might arise from eliminating Qin Pingin. What type of successor to fate might emerge next? Be an entertainer, a martial master, a divine healer, or perhaps a war god spouse entering a henhouse. Or even the return of an immortal. He also ponders whether an in prison is asleep at this hour, and if the recently sensationalized individual from the news is sharing a cell with her. One cannot help but wonder if, upon their next encounter, he will manage to avoid an embarrassing mishap. Chapter 148. Is this what best friends are? Love it the following day at noon. The sun shines brightly over the Jiangnan No. 1 Villa District, where Mu Yuyan resides. Lin Yuchu, with a sunflower seed in her left hand and a remote control in her right, lounges with her long legs clad in white thigh-high stockings draped over the coffee table, occasionally flexing her toes to alleviate fatigue. As she aimlessly flips through channels while munching on seeds, her head leans back against the sofa, glancing toward the dining area and carelessly muttering, "Yuyan, I told you, just set a table at the hotel. Why insist on cooking yourself?" Mu Yuyan presents her meticulously prepared dishes at the dining table, casting an exasperated glance at Lin Yuchu, who is still snacking. "If you don't want to eat, then don't. You came to mooch off my meal. I didn't invite you." After finally securing a rare moment of leisure to indulge in a private world with Qin Lang, she inadvertently lets slip a word, attracting Lin Yuchu, that glaring light bulb. The frustration within her is beyond measure. Lin Yuchu pouted in discontent, murmuring, "Yuyan, your words are rather misplaced. What do you mean by not inviting me? Given our relationship, is an invitation truly necessary? Moreover, Qin Lang assisted me immensely last time, and I have been ever grateful for his kindness. I merely wish to alleviate your burdens a little." She initially intended for Mu Yuyan to invite Qin Lang to the Kaiyuan Grand Hotel, her domain, where numerous rooms awaited. In a moment of distraction, she could easily draw Qin Lang into a private suite, and what transpired thereafter was inconsequential. The crucial point was that no matter how loudly she called, Mu Yuyan would remain oblivious. Upon arriving at Mu Yuyan's residence, an inexplicable sense of anxiety washed over Lin Yuchu, accompanied by a peculiar thrill. "Oh, have the two sisters quarreled?" Qin Lang remarked teasingly as he entered. Hearing his voice, Mu Yuyan, busy in the kitchen, hurried out. Upon seeing the one she longed for, her heart swelled with sweetness. She affectionately approached, tidying his slightly disheveled collar, and gently kissed him on the cheek, saying, "The meal isn't ready yet. Why don't you go watch some television in the living room? You've worked hard." Qin Lang, wearing a warm smile, playfully pinched her cheek. The poised and stunning CEO of Mu Rin International felt her face flush under his tender gaze. Not wanting to lose face in front of her friend, she merely uttered a soft humph and turned back to the kitchen to continue her work. Qin Lang cast a glance at Mu Yuyan's graceful figure as he made his way to the living room. Before he could settle down, Lin Yuchu retracted her legs from the coffee table, handed him a remote control, and complained, "There's nothing worth watching on TV. You can entertain yourself for a while. I'm off to do some pre-meal yoga." With that, she seemed disinclined to engage further with Qin Lang and left. Something felt amiss. Qin Lang furrowed his brow, pondering the change. Just a night ago, Lin Yuchu had clung to him, but now, after a few days apart, her demeanor had shifted. As he sat, his interest in the television waned, and soon he noticed an unusual sight beside him. Lin Yuchu had brought over yoga mat and changed into form-fitting yoga attire, diligently stretching her limbs. Suddenly, she executed a split, showcasing her flexible and toned body, causing her two unique bunny plushies to jiggle with her descent. But that was not the end. She unexpectedly leaned forward, remaining in her split position, unabashedly presenting herself before Qin Lang. How to describe it? Qin Lang merely cast a fleeting glance, as if a camel were kicking towards his face with its hooves. In a brief moment, Lin Yuchu, having successfully stretched her ligaments, no longer confined herself to simple movements. Balancing on one leg, she grasped her other foot with both hands, lifting her height gradually from behind until it reached her waist. And finally, the back of her head. With her back turned to Qin Lang, it appeared as though she had rotated the splits counterclockwise by 90 degrees. Her graceful form showcased in all its glory. She even endeavored to place her other leg atop her head, straining forward to stretch her ligaments further. To those in the know, it was evident she was stretching, but to the unaware, it might seem she was merely trying to ensure Qin Lang had a clear view. Qin Lang observed, his heart racing, unable to suppress a gulp. He understood now. He had assumed Lin Yuchu was merely on the 18th floor, but to his astonishment, she had ascended to the stratosphere. Such blatant exhibitionism before him? If he claimed he harbored no mischievous thoughts, who would believe him? The key point was that Mu Yuyin was busy in the kitchen. Where did this audacious girl find her courage? While Mu Yuyin had just completed a dish, she emerged from the kitchen to witness the scene in the living room, her heart racing. She hurriedly approached, exclaiming in exasperation, "Yuchu, what on earth are you doing?" Lin Yuchu turned, and upon seeing Mu Yuyin, innocently mumbled, "I'm doing pre-meal yoga to relax my body, hoping to eat more later." "You." Mu Yuyin hesitated, unwilling to entertain her friend's nonsensical excuses. She chose to redirect her gaze to Qin Lang, who was intently focused on the LCD television. Hesitating, she suggested, "How about we sit in the dining room for a bit? Several dishes are ready. You can taste them." Qin Lang, without turning, seriously declined, "Let us eat together later. I'm enjoying this television program." Mu Yuyin glanced at the midday news broadcast, her lips twitching. Was the television truly captivating, or was it the yoga that held more allure? Qin Lang turned, his expression stern as he replied, "Yin, how can you say that? Don't you realize this is the news? How long has it been since I returned home? Who knows, I might see my old man on screen." Truly, Qin Lang never imagined that in Mu Yuyin's eyes, he would be perceived as such a man. So much time had passed. Had the image of the foolish Qin Lang from the past not been erased from Mu Yuyin's mind? If not for the extreme pressure he felt at that moment, he would have stood up to engage in a heated debate with Mu Yuyin to vindicate his innocence. Chapter 149. The great deceiver Lin Yuchu officially unleashed. Mu Yuyin scrutinized Qin Lang for a considerable time, ultimately choosing not to voice her thoughts. Some matters were not worth quarreling with Qin Lang over. They were merely subconscious reactions. Furthermore, her own position was hard-earned. She had seized her place amidst chaos, and her confidence was not as robust as it might seem. Casting a glance at Lin Yuchu, Mu Yuyin declared impatiently, "Come upstairs with me. There are things we need to discuss." Lacking the confidence to confront Qin Lang, how could she possibly deal with Lin Yuchu? First, she must tear apart this flimsy shield. Here comes Lin Yuchu, rolling up her yoga mat and tucking at her waist, swaying her slender figure as she ascends the stairs. Not a hint of fear in her demeanor. Rather, she exudes anticipation, eager for the challenge ahead. Bang! The door slammed shut with a heavy thud. Mu Yuyin sat at the edge of the bed, arms crossed, her expression grave. The air in the room seemed to drop several degrees. She fixed her cold gaze on Lin Yuchu and sternly asked, "Now, tell me, how far has it progressed? I find myself powerless regarding Qin Lang. But you had better not stir the waters." After years of friendship, she did not wish for their future encounters to be marred by awkwardness. Lin Yuchu placed the yoga mat aside, lowering her gaze like a child caught in wrongdoing. In a soft murmur, she replied, "It's not as exaggerated as you think. It's probably similar to what you have with him. Yes, it should be about the same." Whatever Qin Lang had experienced with Mu Yuyin, she had also shared. But concerning certain matters she had engaged in, she was uncertain if Mu Yuyin had moved on. It remained unclear, and she decided not to inquire further. Most of the time, Lin Yuchu was remarkably astute. Mu Yuyin's eyelids twitched, her anger flaring. "Is that so? When did this happen? How come I was unaware? When did you and Qin Lang grow this close?" "Lin Yuchu, I truly did not expect this. I regarded you as my confidant, yet you betray me? Lin Yuchu explained with a bitter tone. It was during the last time Qin Lang came to act as my shield. I didn't want it to happen. It's all my mother's fault. She meddled and drugged Qin Lang. If I hadn't entered the room, you probably wouldn't even see Qin Lang now. Even if he miraculously survived, part of him is already lost. Before Mu Yiyin could scold her, Lin Yuchu hurriedly moved closer, sitting beside her and wrapping her arms around her shoulders. Yiyin, please don't be angry. I never intended for this to happen. But now that things have progressed to this point, what can we do? Moreover, I haven't concealed anything. If it weren't for considering you, I could have easily played the role of a green tea girl, laughing with you by day and frolicking with Qin Lang by night. Wouldn't you still be in the dark, completely oblivious? Mu Yin's fury surged as she forcefully removed Lin Yuchu's arm from her shoulder. She yearned to push Lin Yuchu onto the bed and unleash her frustrations, yet a part of her found it absurd. For Lin Yuchu's words held a semblance of truth. Lin Yuchu retrieved her arm, gripping the edge of the bed, her legs dangling like a swing as she muttered to herself. What kind of background does Qin Lang have? What is his character? Surely, you are aware of these things? Let us not even consider the future. Just look at the present. Do you truly believe you are the only girl by his side? Or do you think he will belong solely to you in the future? Can you handle it? She herself could hardly bear it. After the other day, she had to rest at home for an entire day, and when she finally ventured outside the next day, she felt quite unwell. In retrospect, my heart is entangled with a mix of fear and joy. As for Mu Yin's delicate frame, it seems unlikely she could withstand it all. Of course, she is addressing the matter at hand, and it is certainly not from a place of fear that she alone cannot bear it. Nor is she deliberately attempting to drag Mu Yin along. That thought does not cross her mind. A sense of helplessness surged within Mu Yin. Lin Yuchu's words were blunt yet insightful. She had indeed contemplated the notion of wanting to monopolize. Had that been her true desire, she would have severed ties with Qin Lang long ago. Yet, even so, her best friend's unexpected intrusion left her feeling vulnerable and quite uncomfortable. You see, Yin, perhaps you still feel uneasy and believe it is my fault. However, with the passage of time, you will come to see the benefits. Lin Yuchu spoke earnestly right now. Qin Lang is rarely home, making it difficult for you two to meet. In the long run, will you still have the same opportunities to see each other? I fear not. As far as I know, there are already rivals surrounding Qin Lang, and you alone cannot fend them off. Just look at the Bai sisters. I had the fortune of encountering them at a recent gathering. Goodness, were I a man, I would be utterly captivated by their allure. Mu Yin rolled her eyes. She had informed Lin Yuchu about the Bai sisters, yet now it seemed to have become her excuse. She remained silent, gazing intently into Lin Yuchu's eyes, clearly indicating her desire for her friend to continue her defense. Lin Yuchu, undeterred, cleared her throat and persisted. One of the Bai sisters, Bai Ruyu, already shares a significant connection with you, not to mention the addition of Bai Shaoyan. United, they are a formidable force, making it all too easy to contend with you. If you wish to stand against them, you have no one but me as your ally. With that, she straightened her posture, showcasing her existing assets to Mu Yin. In negotiations involving colossal sums, one must display their trump cards. Otherwise, the counterpart may doubt their capacity for collaboration. Mu Yin scoffed. I can see that you make a valid point. Even I find myself swayed by your words. However, even if I can handle Bai Ruyu, you may not stand a chance against Bai Shaoyan. Remember, though you may appear youthful, resembling a lowly, you are, in fact, several months my senior. This so-called pseudo-lowly pales in comparison to Bai Shaoyan. Lin Yuchu pouted in displeasure. What do you mean, by pseudo-lowly? That is quite mistaken. I am a legitimate lowly, if you will. Yes, it is true. Bai Shaoyan is indeed a towering obstacle for both of us, whether by age or her unmatched physique. Yet, I possess absolute confidence. I can certainly hold my ground against her. Lin Yuchu paused for effect, deliberately heightening the anticipation for what she would say next. She cast a flirtatious glance at Mu Yin, playfully remarking that although Bai Shaoyan was younger than her, she was far more audacious. Chapter 150. Rewards and Punishments Clearly Defined. Mu Yin felt a mix of anger and helplessness as she glanced at Lin Yuchu beside her, frustration bubbling within her. She couldn't fathom the misfortune that had led her to encounter such a so-called friend. Had she known, she would never have allowed Qin Lang to act as a shield last time. Her assumptions had been misguided. Little did she realize that Su Yorong, this cunning old witch, would also interfere. How careless of her! Seeing the persistent anger simmering within Mu Yin, Lin Yuchu pouted her lips and, with a pitiful expression, clung to her arm. employing her tried-and-true tactic of feigned helplessness. Yu Yin, I truly cannot do without Brother Qinlang right now. Whenever Brother Qinlang frowns, I feel as though the entire world turns dark. Girls will inevitably be enchanted by Brother Qinlang, sooner or later. Why not let me be the one beneath you? While you take the lead, after uttering a flurry of sweet and bitter words, Lin Yuchu nearly belittled herself to the status of a mere servant. Yet, rather than feeling humiliated by her own degradation, she secretly found a thrill in it. Taking a deep breath, Mu Yuyin stood up, cutting Lin Yuchu off before she could continue her act of pathetic pleading. Brother Qinlang hasn't even eaten yet. With that, she opened the door and walked out. Lin Yuchu followed behind, relieved. The matter was settled. She knew her friend's temperament all too well. If this issue were brought to light without any reaction, it would have been dire. In this situation, it was likely tacitly accepted. From this day forth, she would no longer need to act covertly, but rather formally ascend from the status of a green tea bitch to that of a recognized concubine, securing her place in the hierarchy. Half an hour later, at the dining table, an array of home-style dishes lay before them. Qinlang picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs, took a bite, and exclaimed, "Not bad. It's much more flavorful than last time." Mu Yiyin poked at the cola chicken wings with her chopsticks, huffing lightly. "When I video called my mom, she taught me how to make it. Didn't you say my mom's cooking was delicious? She made it especially for you." Her tone was tinged with a hint of vinegar, as if a jar had been overturned. Indeed, she had, in a subtle manner, acknowledged Lin Yuchu's presence and, to some extent, had been swayed by her. Yet, fundamentally, there was still an uncomfortable feeling within her that craved solace. She took a small bite of the cola chicken wings and reached for a napkin on the table to wipe her mouth. "Don't move." Suddenly, Qinlang reached out, cradling Mu Yiyin's face. Leaning in slightly, he gently kissed the corner of her mouth, wiping away a bit of sauce from the chicken wings. That's a bit unsanitary. Yet, it was undeniably flirtatious. In an effort to alleviate the discomfort within Mu Yiyin's heart, Qinlang bore with it and let pass. "What are you doing? There are others around." Mu Yiyin's cheeks flushed crimson. Uncertain of the reason, upon learning of the relationship between Lin Yuchu and Qinlang, she found herself growing more affectionate in his presence, a situation to which she was unaccustomed. "The kitchen has the soup I prepared. I shall fetch it." She instinctively sought to alleviate the lingering romantic atmosphere and rose to head towards the kitchen. Lin Yuchu, seated across the dining table, felt a twinge of envy. Her beautiful eyes darted playfully, and she promptly pulled out a chair, calling out to Mu Yuyin in the kitchen, "Yin, I have a bit of a stomach ache. I need to use the restroom." With that, she slipped beneath the table. After a considerable interval, Mu Yuyin, clad in 2 plump gloves, brought a large bowl of ginseng soup to the table, exclaiming with irritation, "That mischievous Yuchu, who was eating so well, is now causing a fuss. Let us not pay her any mind. Drink some soup. It will nourish you. Your complexion appears rather pale." With a screech, Qinlang dragged his chair across the floor, masking another barely perceptible sound. Mu Yiyin scooped a bowl of ginseng soup and glanced at Qinlang, who was close to the table. Noticing nothing amiss with a long tablecloth, she teased, "Are you so eagerly anticipating a taste?" She offered the bowl of soup into his hands, kindly advising, "Sip it slowly. It's quite hot." As Qinlang savored a sip of the ginseng soup, a wave of warmth enveloped him, akin to being cradled in a tender embrace. He inhaled deeply, tilting his head back in genuine admiration. "This flavor is exquisite. Drink as much as you like. I've prepared a large pot, and no one will compete with you for it." Mu Yiyin sat beside him, delighting in his enjoyment of the soup. Nothing pleased her more than witnessing Qinlang relish the soup. Her mother had once said that to capture a man's heart, one must first seize his stomach. In the past, she had dismissed this notion, but now, she finally grasped the fulfillment it brought. Similarly, Lin Yuchu harbored akin thoughts in her heart. Mu Yuyan, observing Qinlang's composed demeanor, softly remarked, "The reason I called you over today was not to intrude deliberately. Rather, the production of the beauty pills has commenced at the company, and you are aware of their remarkable efficacy. Once launched in the market, we can expect fervent feedback. I thought we might seize this opportunity to pave the way for expansion. Let us aim higher than just Tianhai City and extend to neighboring provinces and even nationwide distribution." Qinlang nodded, his fingers rhythmically tapping the table as if weighing the matter, or perhaps serving as a reminder that indeed, they could accelerate their pace. Should the beauty pills be launched, I am not concerned about market demand, but can Mu Ren International handle the sales? Furthermore, expanding the scope may pose some challenges given the current reputation of Mu Ren International. As for production, we can stockpile in advance. Setting up the production line will require time, and we can sell in batches. Once we have sufficient capital, we can promote and sell without restrictions. Mu Yuyan replied earnestly. Regarding the aspect of popularity, it is essential to seek out a brand ambassador, yet one must not blindly pursue fame. Some celebrities are mired in numerous scandals, and a single misstep could tarnish our product's reputation. She would be an excellent choice. She is a well-known diva in the country, and although she has not released any significant works in the past year, her fan base is extensive, predominantly consisting of women, perfectly aligning with our product's positioning. Most importantly, there is a senior executive in our company who happens to be the sister of Shia's manager. Through this connection, we might persuade Shia to endorse our product. It is imperative to nurture employees who make outstanding contributions. We must not be stingy. This has always been Qin Lang's modus operandi, consistent with everyone. When it comes to rewards, would he really be miserly? Rewards must be given when due, with clear distinctions between commendation and punishment. Chapter 151. Fragile Sisterhood. Obvious Dangers. Hidden Arrows. 1 must not judge by appearances, nor can the ocean be measured by a mere cup. Some individuals, who were fervently denouncing rumors about themselves on social media just yesterday, may have dined on public funds by the very next morning. Qin Lang did not intend to point fingers at anyone specifically. He merely offered a gentle reminder. Can we truly ascertain Shia's integrity? Is there no risk of scandal? Mu Yiyan nodded, reassuring him, saying she had researched Shia, and though she does not hail from an influential family, she possesses a certain stature and upbringing that would likely prevent her from engaging in such behavior. As she spoke, she presented Qin Lang with the personal homepage she had found on her phone. The image displayed a graceful and dignified woman, embodying the essence of a refined lady, whom Mu Yuyan referred to as Shia. At first glance, Qin Lang recognized something extraordinary. Intriguingly, there was something amiss. How could this woman be so stunning? She was every bit as captivating as Mu Yuyan, perhaps even exuding a unique aura attributed to her celebrity status. Most astonishingly, her profile claimed she had never filmed a kissing scene. How could one navigate the entertainment industry without such an experience? This ludicrous premise could only be concocted by a negligent author. It was evident that she was treated as the favored daughter of fortune. Yet, there were inconsistencies. In Chun Ping'an's narrative, Shia was not mentioned as such a favored character. Could it be that, like the blood-red mandala, she belongs to the next storyline? Qin Lang found himself pondering. Upon his arrival in this world, he had already noticed discrepancies, particularly in classic songs, films, and novels from the entertainment realm, which had all experienced a shift. It wasn't that nothing matched, but rather that most of the exceptional works had seemingly vanished. Initially, he had been indifferent, given his background. Did he really need to write scripts, sing, or pen novels for income? That would be akin to using a cannon to swat a fly, an act of sheer folly. But now, with Shia's early emergence, he sensed an unusual significance. Even the female celebrities have made their appearances. How would the subsequent plot unfold? Before Shiryu appeared, he had no interest in the entertainment industry whatsoever, barely casting a glance. Yet, with Shiryu's mere presence, he suddenly recalled the adeptness of certain authors at riding the coattails of popularity. In novels featuring wealthy patrons, urban warriors, and a plethora of beautiful mentors. Which author doesn't exploit the fame of female stars? While a lack of planning may not be consequential, establishing a strategy would effectively open up numerous narrative avenues. It is indeed quite tempting. As Qin Lang pondered this, a chill ran down his spine, prompting him to tap his fingers rapidly on the dining table. What's wrong? Is there something amiss with the spokesperson? Mu Yuyan inquired. Her curiosity piqued upon noticing Qin Lang's furrowed brow. Simultaneously, she felt more resolute about recruiting Shiryu as the image ambassador, not for any other reason than Qin Lang, as evident admiration for her. I find Shiryu quite commendable. She is beautiful and kind-hearted, and as a spokesperson, she is exceptionally responsible. Since her debut, the number of products she has endorsed is significantly higher than her peers. She pursues endorsements not merely for profit, often incorporating the products into her shows. Why not choose her? Moreover, we have acquaintances in the company who can facilitate contact. As the conversation unfolded, Mu Yuyan realized her impression of Shiryu was only improving. Her favorable view of Shiryu's character was not influenced by Qin Lang's frown. You handle this matter. Mu Ren International is your asset, and there's no need to consult me on every detail, Qin Lang smiled. Mu Yuyan stood, embracing Qin Lang from behind, affectionately stating, then I must trouble my boyfriend for assistance. Although Shiryu is a wonderful person, she rarely accepts endorsements. and I lack the confidence to secure her. But perhaps you can? After all, it's said that girls are entranced by you, sooner or later. Really? Do people actually say that? Qin Lang chuckled lightly, recalling that this was likely a past remark. At least, at present, she had not uttered a single word. Eavesdropping was out of the question. He merely happened to be passing by the restroom with heightened awareness. You'll be busy at the company this afternoon, right? Qin Lang wrapped his arm around Mu Yin's neck, gently inquiring. Mu Yan nodded, intrigued. How did you know I had matters to attend to this afternoon? Just a stroke of genius, Qin Lang laughed. He didn't need any special tactics. A simple calculation would reveal the comings and goings of Mu Yin's relatives. Their safety and peril. For Qin Lang, it was as easy as pie. Could Mu Yin's trivial concerns ever elude his grasp? She was merely worried that if he stayed, Lin Yuchu would steal the limelight. I must remind you, the flavor of today's dish was delightful. Though a tad, too much chili was used. Next time, let us keep it lighter to avoid the headache from spice. Qin Lang advised with careful consideration. Mu Yuyan, understanding and obedient, nodded gently and pecked Qin Lang's cheek like a dragonfly touching water. You eat first. I'll fetch something I need for the company later. Saying this, she released Qin Lang and ascended the stairs. A short while later, Mu Yin descended, noticing Lin Yuchu sitting upright with an unusual expression. Have you upset your stomach? Is that why you're in such a state? Lin Yuchu lowered her head and nodded slightly. I've not been feeling well lately. It's just a habit. You needn't worry. Mu Yin urged. Hurry up and eat. Let me take my time and rest a bit. Lin Yuchu murmured weakly. Mu Yin narrowed her beautiful eyes, scrutinizing Lin Yuchu's face with an intensity akin to that of an investigator examining a suspect. The little minx, what thoughts are brewing in her mind? Surely she wishes to seize the opportunity to be alone with Qin Lang while I am away. How audacious! Qin Lang was invited by her, and she had family visiting, making it inconvenient for her to let Lin Yuchu take advantage of the situation. Moreover, her own irritation had yet to fully dissipate. She couldn't allow this little minx to benefit at her expense. Feeling guilty under Mu Yin's penetrating gaze, Lin Yuchu lowered her head further. You should eat a bit. We can leave together later. Mu Yin's tone turned slightly colder. Lin Yuchu stammered, I can go with you, but I really can't eat anymore. Chapter 152. Chu Mengyao is on someone's mind. When Mr. Qin intervenes, there's no room for negotiation. Can't you learn a thing or two from Qin Lang? Do I really have to invite you to dinner multiple times? Mu Yuyan huffed coldly. In that brief moment, she had fetched a document, while Qin Lang had already consumed a bowl of ginseng soup, a stark contrast to Lin Yuchu. Lin Yuchu pouted and murmured, well, of course, Qin Lang has an appetite. Energy is conserved after all. Her words made Mu Yuyan furrow her brow in confusion. What do you mean? This and that. Qin Lang is a man, and with his daily exercise, he naturally consumes more. I, on the other hand, have little to occupy my time, and my mother insists I supplement my nutrition and drink more milk, so my appetite is naturally smaller. Lin Yuchu laughed nervously, attempting to rationalize her quiet mutterings. As Mu Yin's attention wavered, she discreetly wiped the fine sweat from her forehead, unsure whether it was from fear or fatigue. After a short while, the three of them departed together. At the headquarters of the Chu Corporation, within a conference room of a skyscraper, Chu Tianpeng suddenly stood up, directing a loud inquiry at Li Guangzhu, who sat across from him. Old Li, what on earth is going on? Who authorized you to summon the board members for a meeting? Do you think I have nothing better to do these days? He had been overwhelmed with work lately, not only managing diluted shares to secure funds, but also addressing issues originating from the company's core operations. To say he was busy would be an understatement. He was nearly deprived of sleep due to the relentless demands on his time. At such a time, what is the purpose of convening a board meeting? Is it mid-year or year-end? Li Guangzhu took a leisurely sip of tea, slowly tightening the lid of his cup, before responding with skepticism. Shudianping, who are you calling, Old Li? What do you consider yourself? Do you think this is like before? Today's board meeting is not for casual conversation. It is to inform you of your removal from the position of chairman of the board. I support Director Li's impeachment and the decision to relieve Shudianping of his position as chairman of the Chutian Group. I also concur with Director Li's decision. I stand with Director Li in this matter. Several key directors within the board raised their hands, aligning themselves with Li Guangzhu, their gazes fixed menacingly upon Shudianping. The state of the Chutian Group today is a direct result of your negligence as chairman. Otherwise, how could such colossal oversights occur in a large corporation? Shudianping's eyes widened in disbelief, his chest heaving violently. He never imagined that upon arriving to oversee a board meeting, He would be impeached and ordered to resign. The anger swelling within him intensified. "Father, please remain calm. Take a moment to breathe." Chu Mingyao stepped forward, gently patting her father's back, offering quiet consolation. Turning to the assembly of former uncles, she expressed her dissatisfaction. "None of us wish to see the group in its current predicament. Yet my father has made every effort to rectify the situation, even foregoing your shares to dilute his own in order to secure funds to mend the gaps. Is this how you choose to treat him? Uncle Huang, you often told me when I was young that my father was your best brother. Now, do you oppose him as well?" Huang Cheng rolled his eyes. "Brother? What nonsense. After years of raising a son who isn't even mine, and my wife entangled with my own nephew, what brotherhood is there to speak of? Now all I recognize is money." Li Guangzhu waved his hand dismissively. "Shu Dianping, cease your feudal struggles. The shares you diluted, aside from the one yet to arrive, have all been acquired by me. I now hold over 50% of the equity, granting me the right to impeach you and order your resignation." Shu Dianping slumped into his chair, the prolonged strain causing his eyes to dry and tears to well up. Wiping his eyes, he looked at Li Guangzhu with a cold smile. "You truly are adept at masquerading. From the inception of this venture until now, you have always been by my side. I have doubted everyone, but you were the one person I never suspected. Who would have thought the one to stab me in the back today would be you?" Li Guangzhu chuckled. "Shu Dianping, do you think too highly of yourself? I have played no small part in the founding of the Chu Tian Group. Yet now, the equity I hold is less than 20%. What a farce. You have bequeathed 10% of your shares to your daughter, perhaps out of apprehension that someone might covet your position. However, fate has proven to be more unpredictable than human calculations. Who could have foreseen that one day you, the cunning old fox, Chu Tianpeng, would find yourself ensnared? The animosity he harbors towards Chu Tianpeng is not a fleeting sentiment. It has been brewing for quite some time. During their initial endeavors, all accolades were bestowed upon Chu Tianpeng, while he toiled in silence, receiving little of the recognition he rightfully deserved. Most poignantly, he had once adored the mother of Chu Mingyao deeply. Yet in a cruel twist of fate, Chu Tianpeng pursued the very woman he cherished, fully aware of his affections. Hatred, the suppressed resentment within him erupted at that moment. He yearned to see Chu Tianpeng plummet from his lofty heights, shattered and broken. He intended to strip Chu Tianpeng of everything, compelling him to kneel before him in supplication. He wanted Chu Tianpeng to comprehend the dire consequences of crossing him. The situation has reached an irreversible conclusion. From this day forth, Chu Tianpeng shall no longer hold any position within the board of directors. The shares in his possession will yield dividends, but he shall possess no power in decision-making. Li Guangzhu wore a triumphant smile, having garnered a substantial faction of shareholders. Within the board, his word would reign supreme. Targeting Chu Tianpeng would be a simple endeavor. Even if Chu Tianpeng attempted to reacquire his diluted shares, it would be too late. Li Guangzhu had meticulously devised his next steps. Once he ascended to the position of chairman, he would methodically consume Chu Tianpeng's shares, driving him further into despair. As for the 10% of shares still held by Chu Mingyao, that would depend on whether his son desired them. If not, he could reluctantly acquiesce. Esteemed board members, the dismissal of Chu Tianpeng is now a foregone conclusion. We merely await an official announcement. The selection of a new chairman requires our collective vote, and I am in full agreement with everyone's sentiments. Li Guangzhu, brimming with pride, seemed to hear the jubilant cheers heralding his chairmanship. Huang Cheng laughed heartily, declaring that Li Guangzhu was indeed generous and manly, since he had made such a proclamation. He had no alternative candidates in mind. Li Guangzhu smirked, narrowing his eyes, instinctively nodding in agreement. Huang paused momentarily, then continued with clarity, asserting that the position of chairman should undoubtedly belong to Mr. Qin Lang. Chapter 153. The affection from young Master Qin what? Li Guangzhu was taken aback, staring incredulously in Huang Cheng's direction. How could Qin Lang suddenly emerge? This was entirely unanticipated and not part of his prearranged scheme. He cast a glance towards the other board members. Under Li Guangzhu's scrutinizing gaze, the remaining directors straightened their postures and resolutely declared, "Mr. Qin Lang is accomplished at a young age, remarkably talented and capable. His leadership as chairman of the Chu Group will undoubtedly guide us toward a prosperous future. To speak candidly, I initially intended to nominate you, Mr. Li, for the position. However, upon discovering that Mr. Qin Lang was the one acquiring shares from Chu Tianpeng, I promptly altered my decision and felt a sense of shame for my previous inclination. I share your sentiments. It is indeed the case. A flower-laden sedan is carried by many, flattering words can be uttered by anyone, not only Li Guangzhu. But even Chu Tianpeng couldn't help but let out a sound upon hearing Qin Lang's name. This, I surmise, is a side effect of taking a third of the cleansing elixir, as its full effects have yet to manifest. Previously agitated by Li Guangzhu, his chest swelled with unexpressed air, which escaped upon being startled by Qin Lang's name. Unexpected, yet within reason. Who is it that sings my praises? I have yet to arrive, and already I hear commendations of my intelligence and capability. Qin Lang entered with a spring-like smile, pushing the door open. Dressed in a sleek black suit and sunglasses, he resembled a Terminator, flanked by his entourage. Mr. Qin, you have finally arrived. It's not that you were late. We simply arrived too early. Huang Chung grumbled, eager to assist in pulling out a chair. However, he soon realized he was a moment too late. 3 other gentlemen had already claimed the task, and 2 even resorted to brewing tea in the absence of chairs. Such absurdity. As Qin Lang took his seat, he surveyed the faces in the conference room with keen interest. Like a connoisseur selecting a consort, the impeccably dressed directors lowered their heads in guilt. His gaze ultimately settled on Chu Tianpeng, and with a hint of embarrassment, Qin Lang remarked, Mr. Chu, I sincerely apologize. I did not anticipate such a scenario today. I initially intended to passively reap the benefits of acquiring shares in the Chu Group, yet it appears that my capabilities have become widely recognized. I have been unexpectedly elevated to the position of chairman. This is rather absurd, considering that my shareholding is less than that of the vast majority present. Chu Tianpeng wore a bitter smile, sighing deeply. At that moment, he felt unqualified to speak. Instead, Li Guangzhu, bewildered by the scene before him, could not restrain himself from questioning, Mr. Qin, is this not a bit excessive? There is no need to leverage your status to pressure everyone, is there? Is it foolish to confront Qin Lang? Indeed. However, were this treatment to befall anyone, maintaining composure would be an arduous task. He had labored for over a decade on this grand undertaking, incurring untold costs and secretly colluding with these directors to secure their support. Yet, due to Qin Lang's sudden emergence, all of his plans have been thrown into disarray. Who could remain calm under such circumstances? Qin Lang's expression darkened. Li Guangzhu, do you grasp the implications of your words? Pressure? How audacious of you to accuse me of coercing others based on my background without a shred of evidence. This is sheer insolence. Is Qin Lang the sort of individual who enjoys using his identity and background to oppress others? Among the dozen or so directors present, who has truly suffered under his tyranny? It is absurd. He is clearly a threat, not an oppressor. This group of cunning old foxes, each one leaving a mess behind without cleaning up, is burdened with countless troubles. A mere inquiry by Junzi and his team could unearth ample evidence that would ensure their ruin. Is there any need for oppression? Young Master Qin, I was indeed presumptuous. Please forgive me. Li Guangzhu took a deep breath, realizing his tone had been somewhat inappropriate. Even though he had never met Qin Lang, he was already well acquainted with his formidable reputation. When Qin Lang first arrived in Tianhai, he was relatively obscure, but after several banquets, his fame had soared. Who among them would dare to truly offend this young master? Qin Lang waved his hand, indicating that ignorance should not be punished. I am not a petty person. I understand you harbor frustrations that you wish to express. Let us set this matter aside for now and not speak of it again. We shall be friends moving forward. He then turned his gaze towards Junzi, who promptly dialed a number and spoke briefly. Soon, Chunziki, clad in a black uniform, arrived with a commanding presence. Her striking face adorned with indignation. It was unclear whether she felt humiliated by Qin Lang's casual authority or was simply incensed by Li Guangzhu's actions. Mr. Li, we have recently uncovered a case of smuggling that is inextricably linked to you. Please accompany us for a brief discussion. If the investigation proves accurate and the amounts involved are substantial, you may face over 15 years of imprisonment. Li Guangzhu's lips twitched as he glanced at Qin Lang. A friend? Is Chunziki the friend you intended to introduce? Feeling the weight of their gazes, the astute and capable Qin Lang quickly understood and gestured amicably towards Chunziki. We are all friends here. There is no need for such formality. I have already transferred the evidence to your computer. Please proceed to apprehend him with the silver handcuffs. With a click, Li Guangzhu found himself shackled, as Qin Lang, acting as his recommender, ushered him into a life devoid of worries about meals. Chunziki arrived in haste and departed just as swiftly. From this day forth, Li Guangzhu, who held a modest stake of over 10%, would likely no longer be seen within the towering edifice of the Chu Group. Sighing as he watched Li Guangzhu's desolate figure retreat, Qin Lang reflected. Young Master Qin, why the sigh? Within the conference room, the directors, having received the evidence, trembled in fear at this single exhalation. It's not related to you, Qin Lang dismissed, waving his hand. A little intimidation suffices. There is no need to frighten these directors into a state of panic. Yet he found himself pondering whether he had been a touch too righteous. Had he shown too much concern for the four young masters of Tianhai? After all, Li Minghui's father lived shrouded in darkness, and he had taken the initiative to guide him towards a place filled with positive energy for transformation. Huang Wenbin had been concealed in his true identity for 2 decades. Yet he took the initiative to uncover the information regarding his biological father. And what was that young master's name again? Upon learning that the wealthy young man's girlfriend worked in an affluent household, he spared no expense to bring his friends along in support. Is he still the villain here? At that moment, Qin Lang felt his own image shining with unprecedented grandeur. Chapter 154. Xiao. This time, I'm slapping my own face. Huang Cheng's eyes scrutinized Qin Lang's face, noting the 3 parts melancholy, 3 parts reflection, and 4 parts mockery in his expression, which clearly indicated that the young master was not contemplating anything virtuous. Unable to restrain himself, he flattered, "Young Master Qin, the future plans and directives of the Chu Group still require your guidance. From now on, you shall be the chairman of the board for the Chu Group. Should we consider modifying the company's name?" Logically, the Chu Group has been operating for over 20 years with a well-established reputation. Maintaining its original name would naturally ensure smooth sailing. However, with Qin Lang as the newly appointed chairman, a name change would likely result in a loss of public recognition. Yet, among the wealthy elite, particularly those of similar standing, there would undoubtedly be a rush to associate with the Chu Group. For no other reason than the mere opportunity to befriend Qin Lang, opportunists might even be willing to sacrifice some of their own interests to collaborate with the Chu Group. Qin Lang waved his hand and replied with a gentle smile. The Chu Group is the brainchild of Mr. Chu, a testament to his lifelong dedication. I am merely a new shareholder. In the future, I shall still rely on Mr. Chu's assistance for various matters. For instance, regarding the challenges currently faced by the group, I do not intend to interfere. As the largest shareholder, I wonder if you might be willing to assist the group in overcoming this predicament? Support for Chu Tianpeng? No. Qin Lang was simply disinterested in managing such trivial affairs. He understood all too well the depth of Chu Tianpeng's feelings for the Chu Group. Given his awareness of the unfolding narrative, it was merely a kind word. It wouldn't cost him anything. If he could have Chu Tianpeng assist him without any expense, wouldn't that be a tremendous gain? Chu Tianpeng sighed, his heart laden with bitterness. Was this the treatment afforded to the previous chairman? Not only was his position undermined, but he was also expected to help the newly appointed Qin Lang navigate the internal challenges of the group. This was an egregious form of exploitation. Yet, if he refused to assist, Qin Lang, being new and unfamiliar with the internal affairs of the company, could make a misstep in this critical moment, potentially triggering a chain reaction that could lead the company into irretrievable ruin. That was certainly not a fate he wished to witness. Thus, he resolved to follow young Master Qin's directives. With a face full of resignation, Chu Tianpeng stated, "If there are no other matters, I shall take my leave for now." With that, he rose and exited the conference room. No one paid any heed to his departure. In the mercantile realm, friendships remained trivial in the eyes of businessmen. The pursuit of profit was paramount. 15 minutes swiftly elapsed. Flattering words, when heard excessively, lose their charm. Qin Lang stifled a yawn, feeling somewhat weary, and subsequently departed from the conference room. While awaiting his ride downstairs, he did not encounter Junzi, but instead found himself joined by Chu Mingyao. Having hurried, she was slightly breathless, her cheeks flushed, and she placed her delicate hand over her heart, softly stating, "Young Master Qin, I have some matters regarding the group that I wish to discuss with you. I have other commitments shortly. Let's converse another time. If you cannot wait, feel free to visit my home tonight for a more in-depth discussion." Qin Lang left his phone number and sent his address to Chu Mingyao via text before leaving her at the entrance of the Chu Group. In the office on the 3rd floor of the Royal Bar, Xiao wore a troubled expression, resting her head on the desk as she held a rose, plucking its petals one by one while murmuring, "He will come. He will not come." Upon removing the last petal, she paused, the disappointment in her beautiful eyes laid bare. He would not come. It was as if that final petal ignited the tons of pent-up despair within her, akin to black powder. A myriad of emotions, resentment, sorrow, and grief fermented within Xiao's heart. He will not come. Certainly not. Days had passed without a single proactive attempt to contact her, and even when she messaged him, his replies were often delayed by several hours. A sharp pain twisted in her heart as she rested her head on the desk, her beautiful eyes brimming with tears from the weight of her grievances. What's the matter? Are you already asleep before evening? A familiar voice broke through her thoughts. Xiao quickly lifted her head and was met with a face radiating warmth and cheer. Just as her heart began to lift, she quickly masked her feelings. Frowning, she replied coldly, "What brings you here? Don't you have anything better to do this afternoon?" Unfazed by her approach, Qin Lang reached out and gently brushed the corner of her eye, frowning slightly as he asked, "Who has been bullying you?" A flicker of sweetness stirred within Xiao. It seemed he possessed a modicum of conscience, showing concern for her. Yet, she resolved not to forgive him for his recent indifference based solely on these few words. Maintaining her frosty demeanor, she retorted, "What nonsense are you thinking? In this city of Tianhai, who would dare to bully me?" Indeed, Qin Lang nodded in agreement. "But why are your eyes so red? Could it be that you miss me?" His perceptive nature had allowed him to overhear her last muttered words and to notice the scattered rose petals on the desk. If he could not decipher such a simple sentiment, he might as well throw himself against a block of tofu. Dreamer. Xiao let out a disdainful snort, rolling her eyes in irritation before rising gracefully to occupy the sofa opposite. Her alluring legs, clad in black stockings, crossed in a way that exuded both charm and authority, while the delicate arch of her foot, adorned with a glossy stiletto, swayed slightly. With her arms crossed over her chest, she proudly lifted her exquisitely sculpted chin, her captivating eyes glinting with amusement. "Qin Xiao, I would kindly request that you do not hold yourself in too high regard in the future. Perhaps my previous arrangement for my parents to meet you has led to a misunderstanding. Allow me to clarify. It was merely my aversion to being set up on blind dates that prompted me to make use of you. Moreover, do you truly believe that I, Xiao, am the type of Navi girl? Or perhaps you think I have changed? Preposterous. I, Xiao, have always acted solely for my own benefit. I have never altered my actions for the sake of others." As soon as her words fell, the voice of the deputy master of the Rose Hall drifted in from outside. "Master, it's time to head home and learn to cook." With a knock, the master of the Rose Hall lamented from the other side of the door, "Master, your last culinary attempt was a disaster." The kitchen staff fled in terror. "The new cooks we've hired are of a slightly lesser caliber. Do not take it to heart. The more skilled ones have been scared off by your last debacle. And even with a knife to their throats, they wouldn't dare return to teach you." Before the deputy master could continue lamenting, Xiao interjected, "I understand. Stop talking. Social death? Is this what they call social death?" Under the knowing gaze of Qin Lang, Xiao felt her cheeks burn as if she had been roasted by a bonfire for an eternity. Even the lightest touch felt searing. Qin Lang leaned closer, wrapping his arms around her slender waist, his voice laced with affection. Xiao, despite her efforts to maintain a stern facade and feign indifference, found it impossible to summon the courage to do so in this moment. The body held in his embrace trembled slightly, her hollow gaze reflecting the depths of her embarrassment. "Go ahead and mock me. There is no need to hold back. If the floor weren't made of marble tiles, I would truly wish to dig a pit and bury my head in it." At that moment, Xiao felt that death would be preferable. In her life, she had never experienced such a profound humiliation. Just moments ago, she had projected an air of dominance, only to be completely exposed by her own deputy master. Each word she had spoken felt like a slap to her face, reverberating painfully in her mind. Qin Lang cradled Xiao's face in his hands, his brow furrowed in discontent. "Xiao, how could you think that way? I believed I was inconsequential in your eyes. Yet seeing you make an effort for me brings me immense joy. Why would I ever engage in the foolishness of mocking you?" Xiao's vacant expression regained a flicker of life as she hesitantly whispered, "Really? You don't want to mock me?" "Not in the slightest," Qin Lang replied with utmost seriousness. This is more like it. I was beginning to think your mind was consumed solely by trivial matters. After such a lengthy period, managing to reach you even twice out of 10 attempts is quite commendable. When I send you a message, it takes an hour for you to respond. What on earth is going on? Are you truly that busy? Busy with what exactly? Regardless, today has been utterly embarrassing, and I, Xiao, have decided to cease concealing my true feelings. I simply wish to inquire about what Qin Lang has been up to these days. With the recent troubles at the Chu Corporation, I thought it an opportune moment to stake my claim. In this era, one must seize opportunities swiftly, otherwise, arriving late means missing even the broth. Qin Lang chuckled lightly, his intentions towards the Chu Corporation being far less than 1/5 of what he had led Xiao to believe. Yet in her presence, He felt compelled to attribute everything to this matter. After all, what alternative was there? To speak candidly? That would be foolish, wouldn't it? The Chu Corporation? The one belonging to Chu Tianpeng? I have indeed heard whispers of recent troubles, particularly regarding financial strains. How have you become entangled with the Chu Corporation? Xiao Juer's expression darkened as she questioned him, suspicion evident in her tone. Surely, you Haven T developed an interest in Chu Tianpeng's daughter, have you? Chu Mingyao, the heiress of the Chu Corporation, frequently frequents high-end venues and, as a representative of the Black Dragon Society's reformation, Xiao Juer had encountered her a few times during social gatherings. It must be said that Xiao Juer had discerned Qin Lang's little schemes quite thoroughly. Even a casual remark from him revealed flaws she could investigate to uncover the truth. Qin Lang coughed lightly into his fist, noting the scrutinizing gaze of Xiao Juer. He quickly adopted a serious demeanor, extending his phone towards her. If you have any doubts, feel free to take a look. Xiao Juer was somewhat taken aback. He actually handed over his phone? How guiltless must he feel? If she were to look, wouldn't that play right into Qin Lang's hands? Moreover, with his background, how could he possibly be so straightforward? Her casual complaint stemmed merely from discomfort. She couldn't truly impose any constraints. Holding his, keep you at its hold it. I want to see your phone. If I had the time for that, I'd rather review some documents. However, something fell off. Why did the fingerprints on your phone differ from mine? Xiao Juer retrieved her phone, noticing several faded fingerprints at the bottom of the vertical screen, evidence of frequently used buttons. A common sight for regular phone users. Yet, why were the marks on Qin Lang's screen horizontal? They were arranged in rows, one here, another there. Because I often watch martial arts videos. Before he could finish his sentence, Qin Lang, quite at ease, had already wrapped his arm around Xiao Juer's slender waist. Chapter 156. Qin Lang. I long to broaden my horizons. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 villain points. In the office, Qin Lang reclined on the sofa. A cigarette perched between his lips. He inhaled deeply, releasing a series of smoke rings with a sense of leisure. Your constitution is rather poor, he remarked, casting a glance at the nearby Xiao Juer. After a moment of contemplation, he could not resist retrieving a cleansing elixir from his pocket and extending it to her as she approached. Keep you a full hippos. Her exquisite visage adorned with a mix of pain, sweetness, and irritation. What is this? She pouted. Are you trying to placate me with a candy after bullying me as if I were a mere child? Qin Lang rolled his eyes, pondering her naivety. This was no trivial matter. The cleansing elixir was an immensely precious potion, capable of purging impurities from the body and enhancing one's physical condition, rendering the skin more radiant and smooth. Examining the elixir closely, Xiao Juer discerned no remarkable features aside from its faint fragrance. Her skepticism did not stem from doubts about Qin Lang's integrity, but rather from her lingering indignation. How could he be so thoughtless? He was fully aware of her position as the deputy leader of the Rose Hall, yet persisted in his insolence. Did he truly disregard her identity? Was he devoid of any shame? As she held the elixir in her hand, Xiao Juer settled back on the sofa, maintaining a distance from Qin Lang. With a cold chuckle, she mused, I suspect your true intention is to criticize my skin's condition, prompting you to present me with this cleansing elixir to enhance my physique, thereby satisfying your own desires for conquest. Her insight struck a nerve, yet Qin Lang remained unfazed, a smirk gracing his lips as he replied. If that is how you perceive it, then I cannot help you. Chu Tianpeng from the Chu group once begged me for a cleansing elixir, even watching his daughter kneel in supplication, and I still refused. Yet here you are, attributing ulterior motives to my generosity? Huh, I wonder how the beautiful school belle, Chu Mingyao, wishes I would have ulterior motives towards her. While he may be deemed callous, certain truths must be spoken in specific contexts. Otherwise, playful banter may be taken too seriously. Conversely, if one were to illuminate certain matters, even a rogue could be perceived as expressing a straightforward affection. The mention of Chu Mingyao introduced an explosive dynamic. Both were beauties, yet their contrasting energies created different chemical reactions. This effectively highlighted the disparity in Qin Lang's regard for Xiao Juer compared to Chu Mingyao. It was a candid declaration directed at Xiao Juer. Look at you, receiving a cleansing elixir and still dissatisfied. Should you refuse it, I might just offer it to Chu Mingyao. Since you still possess a shred of conscience, I shall accept it. Xiao Juer huffed, a secret delight blooming within her, though she refused to reveal it. Treating the elixir like a treasure, she savored it before swallowing. She gazed at Qin Lang, who was seated a distance away, and muttered, Why are you sitting so far away? A person lacking emotional intelligence might retort. Isn't it you who chose to sit there? What concern is it of mine? With a high emotional intelligence, Qin Lang tossed the cigarette but to the ground and stepped on it, then shifted a short distance closer to Chiu Jur. Didn't you say last time that you detest the smell of smoke? I thought I'd keep my distance to avoid incurring your dislike. Chiu Jur rolled her eyes playfully, resting her palm on Qin Lang's thigh. Though she verbally expressed disdain, her heart swelled with secret delight at his arrival, something she had fantasized about countless times. In her daydreams, there were none of the chaotic elements that often accompanied such thoughts. The mere presence of Qin Lang seemed to imply an unspoken agreement on the matter. She found herself unable to alter this reality, nor did she wish to reject it too vehemently. After all, Qin Lang had secured a position of utmost significance in her heart, captivating both her mind and spirit. Qin Lang, understanding her unspoken sentiments, opened his palm and intertwined their fingers. Satisfied, Chiu Jur wanted to let out a haughty hum, but inexplicably, the resentment she had harbored over his prolonged absence melted away into a warm, sweet current coursing through her. What was meant to be a dismissive sound transformed into a soft and contented sigh. So what brings you here? She queried, tilting her chin toward him. Don't think I'm oblivious to your intentions. If there were nothing of importance, why would you come to see me? Chiu Jur was not one to be consumed by romantic notions. Qin Lang's unexpected visit surely hinted at some ulterior motive. Her direct inquiry bore an implicit offer of assistance. Qin Lang held her hand firmly while drawing her into his embrace. I've missed you, he confessed. If it were merely trivial matters, I wouldn't need your help. Do you know if there are any girls working on that project at your bar? Chiu Jur tilted her head in confusion. Which project? With a swift motion, Qin Lang silenced her by patting her thigh. Their silence spoke volumes. Chiu Jur furrowed her brow, her expression turning cold. What are you thinking? You just got over that, and now you're pondering these frivolous matters again? Are you unaware that such women are unsavory? Aren't you concerned about being tainted by such associations? No, stop that line of thought. My bar is reputable. Sighing, Qin Lang responded. I just find my mind wandering to these thoughts. I wish to broaden my horizons to better control myself and refrain from reckless behavior in the future. Is the sun rising in the west? Chiu Jur replied, perplexed, lightly coughing. Well, my bar is indeed respectable, but as for the ambience created by some of the staff, that's another matter entirely. If you truly wish to explore, I can recommend a couple of places, but tread carefully. They can be quite dangerous. As she spoke, Chiu Jur's demeanor shifted to one of embarrassment. She withdrew her hand from his grasp, fidgeting as she stood and headed toward the bathroom within the office. You should take a moment to rest. The cleansing elixir is beginning to take effect. Chapter 157, The Wrath of Thunder. Shattering Chu Mengyao's pride, despite the promise of allowing Qin Lang a moment's respite, Chiu Jur had no intention of emerging from the bathroom after entrance. She utterly disregarded him. Understanding her busy schedule and the impurities she was dealing with, Qin Lang, displaying remarkable empathy, refrained from further interruption and took his leave after a brief farewell. Under Junzi's steady driving, Qin Lang returned to his villa. As he approached the entrance, he spotted Chu Mengyao waiting outside, dressed in an exceedingly simple outfit. Consisting of a long jacket and trousers, she enveloped herself completely, as if fearful that even the slightest glimpse of her skin might be seen. Qin Xiao, you have returned, Chu Mengyao said, hurrying towards him with a troubled expression. Qin Xiao, could you possibly grant my father another chance regarding the matters at Chu Corporation? Qin Lang appeared to ignore her, his gaze unwavering as he walked directly into the house. Chu Mengyao stood frozen, watching his retreating figure, her heart racing with confusion. What was happening? Just earlier, in front of the corporate building, he had called her over to discuss matters in depth. Why had his demeanor shifted so dramatically now that she had arrived? Could it be that the few hours had altered his perspective? Was he no longer inclined to maintain any further association with her? Uncle, where did you go this afternoon? Qin Xiao. Chu Mengyao turned to Junzi, the words change of heart lingering unspoken on her lips. It seemed unwise to speak ill of Qin Lang in front of his bodyguard, so she altered her tone. Why has he suddenly transformed as if he were a different person? Junzi, towering at nearly 6 feet and with arms crossed, stood in stark contrast to Chu Mengyao, resembling an unyielding wall. He cast a sidelong glance before quickly diverting his gaze. The thoughts of the young master were beyond the conjecture of mere subordinates. You, Miss Chu, are fortunate. Had it been anyone else, they would have been dismissed long ago. Thank you. Thank you for your leniency, but you still haven't addressed my concern. Chu Mengyao responded, feeling perplexed as if she owed Junzi a debt of gratitude. Without looking back, Junzi departed, leaving her with a faint remark, "Clothing, be modest." Chu Mingyao glanced down at her attire, a bitter expression etching her features. After casting another look at Qin Lang, who sat on the sofa in the living room, she steeled herself, gritting her teeth, and walked resolutely into the villa. Approaching Qin Lang, she lowered her head slightly, her voice imbued with sincerity as she pleaded, "Qin Xiao, my father has dedicated himself wholeheartedly to Chu Corporation and does not deserve such a fate. Even for the future of Chu Corporation, you must consider my father's position. Even if he cannot assume the role of chairman, I implore you to grant him an opportunity to showcase his abilities." Desperation filled her heart. Chu Mingyao had never before humbled herself so profoundly before another. Once Qin Lang made his appearance, the situation shifted dramatically. Previously, he had knelt in supplication for the cleansing elixir, but now he had ventured alone into Qin Lang's abode, unflinchingly risking it all to implore him for a position for his father, hoping to continue shining within the Chu group. Qin Lang lifted his gaze and cast a sidelong glance at Miss Chu, saying, "I believe you may have misunderstood the circumstances regarding the previous elixir incident. Had it not been for Yunyun's persuasion, do you truly think that mere kneeling would have sufficed? Furthermore, it was Li Guangzhu who expelled your father from the Chu group. I assisted in delivering your father's adversary to justice. Your lack of gratitude is one thing, but now you audaciously stand before me demanding an opportunity for your father? Where in the world does such fortune simply fall from the heavens? Is this truly Miss Chu Mingyao? Your tone may be sincere, yet you still place yourself upon a pedestal of privilege. Is this truly how one should beseech another? Is this the demeanor of a servant? How oblivious! This eldest lady still requires considerable guidance. With such haughty airs, placing herself above others, even if she were to attain it, she would likely invite considerable trouble in the future." He could not help but advise her, "That outfit you wear was specifically prepared for this visit, was it not? I find it quite unappealing. Perhaps you should change into another." The second drawer of the small cabinet on the right side of the tea room on the second floor. "You." Chu Mingyao was momentarily taken aback, unable to suppress her indignation. "Are you being excessive? Even if you disregard my feelings, should you not at least consider Sister Ruyu and Yunyun's sentiments? Are you not concerned that by bullying me, you might anger them?" She could hardly fathom that Qin Lang would speak so bluntly. She had deliberately changed into this attire before her arrival. Could he not discern her intentions? Indeed, while Qin Lang was handsome and charismatic, that was certainly not a justification for her to put herself in such an awkward position before a stranger. It was simply inconceivable. Chu Mingyao would rather leap from the second floor of the villa than acquiesce to Qin Lang's despicable demands. "Your reasoning is sound," Qin Lang nodded earnestly. "To prevent any misunderstandings from Ruyu and Yunyun, it will be prudent for you, Miss Chu, to maintain some distance from me. As for the Chu group, your father has effectively been sidelined. To put it plainly, he has been ousted, having just taken office. Keeping your father on would inevitably raise suspicions in the eyes of Ruyu and Yunyun. There is no need for you to worry about the company's current affairs. Ruyu's business acumen is likely known to your father. There is no need for his aged hands to intervene. The Chu group will stabilize without him. Regarding the elixir, it is far too costly, and I possess very little. It cannot simply be given away to a stranger." A blatant threat. Qin Lang remained resolute upon the sofa, his hands resting on the backrest, his expression serious as he fixed his gaze on the trembling Chu Mingyao, coldly urging, "What are you still doing standing there? Are you planning to linger in a stranger's home indefinitely? Prideful? Very well. Is this merely a game?" Qin Lang was eager to witness the extent of Chu Mingyao's arrogance. Did she truly consider herself a lady of high status? He was determined to shred that facade into oblivion. Yet, that was not enough. He aimed to bring Chu Mingyao crashing down from her lofty heights, compelling her to experience the stark contrast between being served and serving others. Chu Mingyao stood frozen in place, trembling all over, her eyes brimming with crystalline tears, overwhelmed with indignation. "If you wish to cry, then go ahead and do so," Qin Lang coldly reprimanded, his frustration reaching a boiling point. How dare she attempt to employ the same tactics she had used on Chun Ping against him? What audacity! "I can change, can't I?" Chu Mingyao retorted, her anger flaring as she turned to dash up the stairs. "Wait!" Qin Lang's icy voice halted her in her tracks. She glanced back, a string of shimmering tears cascading down her cheeks like silver threads, her teeth clenched in fury. "What do you want now?" The pink outfit she wore was adorned with 2 rabbit ears and a carrot-shaped backpack, complemented by a pair of white stockings. Chapter 158. Chu Mingyao yielded. As Chu Mingyao struggled to hold back her tears while heading upstairs to change, Qin Lang did not remain idle. Instead, he reached out to Qiu Jiuer via text, acquiring the personal information of several girls from the atmosphere team, and summoned Junzi. After sending a list of contact details to Junzi, he set his phone aside, instructing, "Take your time to thoroughly investigate these girls and select the one who best fits the criteria. Ensure she receives a comprehensive service of pure refinement." Understood? The girls he had chosen were far from virtuous. To avoid raising any suspicions, they needed training and some maintenance on their accessories. Only by achieving a level of authenticity could they successfully deceive others. Junzi gazed at the photos of the flamboyant girls, swallowing hard with a hint of trepidation, nodding in acknowledgement. Goodness. So, the young master meant for me to broaden my horizons. Each girl in the photos was a vixen of considerable allure. Not only had he not gained any insight, but even a mere glance made Junzi feel uneasy. Yet, he promised to complete the task. With a sigh, he departed, his forlorn figure reminiscent of a patron who, after wandering through a world of delicate beauty, felt utterly drained. As Junzi left, footsteps echoed from the second floor. Chu Mingyao descended slowly, clad in a flowing pink and white gown that trailed the ground, her hesitance evident. With the dragon whisker bangs framing her face, which was already petite, she exuded a hint of sweetness. From his vantage point on the sofa, Qin Lang could only catch a glimpse of her profile. Her petite waist was strikingly accentuated, perfectly fitting within the confines of the gown that was tailored to perfection. As his gaze traveled down, he beheld her white stockings, slightly darker in hue, obscuring her skin. However, due to the gown's trailing nature, her long, shapely legs were magnificently displayed before him. Chu Mingyao's figure was already quite admirable, with long, straight legs reminiscent of a comic book character. Clad in slightly darker white stockings, she achieved a near-perfect representation. The silver patterns elegantly outlined on the stockings added an exquisite charm to her appearance. Her delicate feet, encased in silver-pointed high heels, evoked an irresistible desire to cradle them in one's hands and admire their beauty. As Qin Lang observed the approaching Chu Mingyao, he couldn't help but express his astonishment, raising an eyebrow in approval. Chu Mingyao's cheeks flushed slightly, a mix of embarrassment and indignation rising within her. What did he mean by not bad? Was this even appropriate attire? She felt as though her upper body was scarcely covered. The short-sleeve fabric was divided into segments, adorned with pink cuffs. The long skirt, trailing below her, was cinched with white ties, and a butterfly knot rested at her neck. A significant expanse of skin at her shoulders and above her chest was veiled by sheer fabric. Was this truly suitable clothing? If she stepped outside, wouldn't she become the spectacle of the street, observed like a curious animal? Qin Lang, arms crossed and legs crossed casually, chuckled coldly, suggesting that if she was reluctant to wear it, she could simply turn around and leave. Observing Chu Mingyao, he had to admit that she appeared far more intriguing in this new outfit, her figure now gracefully accentuated. Prior to this, she had donned a conservative ensemble that did little to showcase the physique befitting a woman of destiny. Now, dressed anew, she exuded elegance and allure. With her arms crossed, Chu Mingyao gazed anxiously at Qin Lang, feeling a mix of indignation and discomfort at his unabashed scrutiny. Could he not be a tad more discreet? His unabated gaze made it painfully obvious what he was thinking. Despite her discomfort, the outfit was already on, and she felt compelled to endure the situation. Qin Xiao, this is my first time wearing such attire, so I might be a bit unaccustomed. Please don't take offense. Now that I have changed. Regarding my father, Qin Lang yawned, beckoning her closer. Once she approached, he pulled her into an embrace, her lustrous black ponytail swaying playfully before him, an invigorating sight. A subtle, refreshing fragrance wafted through the air, invigorating his senses. I have yet to see your sincerity, Qin Lang remarked, adopting a playful demeanor as he gazed at the startled Chu Mingyao nestled within his grasp. Chu Mingyao squirmed, retracting her neck like a frightened rabbit, anxiously attempting to break free, yet fearing that her actions might provoke Qin Lang, potentially resulting in her father's expulsion from the Chu family conglomerate. Thus, she swallowed her grievances, resigning herself to his hold. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, her cheeks flushed, when Qin Lang reached out to touch her. She felt as if she were burning with fever. As he observed her, he mused, I don't recall mentioning that this hair accessory was meant to complement this outfit. Indeed, she was truly the eldest daughter of the Chu family, possessing an exceptional eye for detail, managing to embody such perfection even on her first wear. Qin Lang did not act overly clumsy. He merely fiddled with Chu Ming Yao's hair accessories, poking here and there, ultimately directing all his attention to the pair of rabbit ears atop her head. He leaned in and softly exhaled a warm breath by her ear, asking, "Do you know what your current identity is?" I don't know." Chu Ming Yao bit her lip, her body trembling slightly as she tucked her chin, her delicate shoulders nearly brushing against the base of her ears. In this context, certain novels had yet to even see their original works published, let alone adaptations into anime. This particular outfit was custom-made at Qin Lang's behest, based on memories lodged in his mind, making it entirely understandable that Chu Ming Yao did not recognize it. Qin Lang playfully tugged at the rabbit ears, kindly reminding her, "What animal possesses these ears?" Chu Ming Yao hesitated, "A rabbit." With his ever-warm demeanor, accompanied by a smile reminiscent of spring's gentle caress, he instructed, "From this moment on, remember your identity. You are a rabbit, my rabbit alone. At present, I find myself in need of a caretaker, and should you wish for me to grant you something, you must diligently perform your duties here, demonstrating your sincerity." On the other hand, Su Xiaoxiao had committed to taking the children from the orphanage on a trip, leaving for several days. This provided Chu Ming Yao with an opportunity to showcase her worth. As he toyed with the rabbit ears, Qin Lang delivered a meaningful reminder. "If you perform well and satisfy me, I would not hesitate to fulfill your wishes." Chapter 159, Steadfast Progress, Cautious Steps, Testing Boundaries. "I absolutely detest carrots," Chu Ming Yao exclaimed, her brows furrowed in distaste. It came as no surprise. The young lady exhibited a temperament akin to that of a spoiled child, particularly when it came to her pickiness regarding food. If a dish contained even the slightest hint of diced carrots, she would refuse to taste it. Being picky is not advisable. Qin Lang sighed with earnestness, casting a glance at the one-eyed rabbit. With such a petite frame and underdeveloped pectoral muscles, I fear a single punch from me might leave you in tears for quite some time. Eat more carrots to replenish your vitamins and effectively enhance those pectoral muscles. As he spoke, he discreetly pinched her rear. Chu Ming Yao immediately sprang up, flustered and muttering, I'll get you a glass of water." She fled from his grasp in a panic. Observing her long gown trailing behind and the rabbit ears bouncing as she departed, Qin Lang's lips curled into a subtle, mischievous smile. "Crooked-mouthed Dragon King." He chuckled mid-laugh, tugging at the corners of his mouth. Though situated in a parallel world, vastly different from his previous life. Even in such moments, he couldn't afford to promote Nike. A simple tug could easily transform it into a Hongxing Irk advertisement. After all, Chu Ming Yao re-entered from the kitchen, presenting a glass of water to Qin Lang. "I noticed some dust in the kitchen. I'll go tidy it up," she said, promptly retreating to the kitchen, evidently intent on avoiding any private interaction with Qin Lang. Was she deliberately creating distance? Qin Lang regarded the scheming Chu Ming Yao, a smile lingering on his lips, exuding a sense of disdain. Engaging in playful tactics with him? She was still too inexperienced. He certainly does not intend to mimic that foolish son of fortune, who, despite harboring inner turmoil, feigns an air of solemnity. Fishing is not conducted in such a manner. If events were to unfold according to the original narrative, after over 10,000 chapters, the lotus petals would have long since turned to aged pickles, and the relationships would remain stagnant. His current objective is to proceed with caution, advancing step by step while subtly probing Chu Ming Yao's boundaries. Ultimately, the moment the fish is about to bite is when the true artistry shall emerge. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. After a day of idling at Tianhai University, Qin Lang returned home only after assisting Lin Sierra with her acupuncture. A faint aroma of cooked dishes wafted from the kitchen. Chu Ming Yao was still clad in her usual attire, now adorned with an apron. Having prepared a dinner of 4 meat dishes, 4 vegetable dishes, and 2 soups, all meticulously arranged on the table. Upon seeing Qin Lang seated with an unwelcoming expression, Chu Ming Yao felt a pang of anxiety. What was the matter now? Had she fallen short in some regard? The dishes were prepared by a chef she had specially engaged from a restaurant, and their flavors were assured. Do you still not grasp your own identity? Who was that unfamiliar man you were with at noon? You even attracted the attention of the police. What on earth happened? Qin Lang squinted, resembling a jealous boyfriend witnessing his girlfriend's ambiguous interactions with another man. In reality, when he witnessed that scene, he had been pushing Lin Siener's wheelchair, accompanied by the stunningly beautiful Professor Zhou Ziqing, sharing light-hearted banter. Nonetheless, this did not hinder Qin Lang's assertiveness. His confidence was unwavering. Chu Ming Yao took a deep breath and, with a face full of bitterness, explained, You misunderstand. That man is the little divine doctor my father mentioned, Chun Pingon from our class. He had encountered some issues recently and was detained, but he was released today. He was called to the Academic Affairs office due to this matter, and somehow, he got entangled with the Director of Education, even treating him for some ailment that he had. Indeed, Chu Mingyao had never anticipated that Chun Pingon could cause such turmoil. After finally being released from detention, he had barely spent any time at the Academic Affairs office before stirring up trouble once more. Qin Lang snorted disdainfully. I do not care who Chun Pingon is, nor do I concern myself with his past associations with the Chu family. What you must remember is that since 2 days ago, you belong solely to me, a rabbit no one can take away. Do you understand? It's merely an intentional provocation. How could I be unaware of the situation with Chun Pingon? The routine of showing off and slapping faces is an old trick. It's likely that while reporting to the Academic Affairs office, he stumbled upon the Director of Education engaged in less than reputable conduct, leading to his predicament. Subsequently, Chun Pingon assisted the Director of Education in recovering his health, enabling him to regain his vigor. In the end, the director expressed profound gratitude, becoming a protective ally for Chun Pingon within the confines of Tianhai University. The progression of events was initially meant to unfold in a gradual manner. Unfortunately, before Chun Pingon could seize this opportunity, Qin Lang had already preemptively administered a drug to most of the supporting characters through the blood red mandala. This included the elderly head of the Zhou family and, of course, the Director of Education at Tianhai University. Is it the unfortunate director who has been affected? No. The most unfortunate of all is Chun Pingon. The protagonist of the original tale, he began to doubt whether his previous medical training was flawed in some way. Why do unexpected complications arise each time he attempts to heal someone? Moreover, he is not even afforded the chance to resolve matters privately. Instead, authorities are summoned at the slightest provocation. Since arriving in Tianhai City, he has spent more than half of his time confined in a detention center, becoming rather familiar with the guards. I understand now. I've been more than compassionate in assisting Chun Pingon. I have done all I could, but ultimately, it is his own lack of effort that leaves me powerless. Chu Mingyao sighed softly, standing before Qin Lang, pledging to maintain her distance from him in the future. She ladled a bowl of soup, walking over to Qin Lang and sitting on his lap. After tasting a spoonful to ensure it wasn't too hot, she offered it to him. Once Qin Lang had finished the entire bowl, she placed it on the table, her cheeks flushed as she leaned in, gently kissing his lips that still bore remnants of the soup, wiping them clean afterward. In less than 2 days, Chu Mingyao had grown less averse to such intimate gestures, even feeling a subtle sense of relief within her heart. It was not due to any hidden inclinations on her part, but rather her keen understanding of Qin Lang's character. A little concession here and there, and he would not push for more. Otherwise, who knows if Qin Lang would again insist on feeding the rabbit spirit carrots. A mere kiss and a hug were preferable to that, weren't they? Unbeknownst to her, as her heart lightened, she had unwittingly lowered her own standards. After a playful interlude with Chu Mingyao, who, overwhelmed, fled as if escaping, Qin Lang sighed. Unfortunately, there was pressing business to attend to tonight. Otherwise, he would have continued to test her boundaries. After quickly satisfying his hunger, he bid farewell to Chu Mingyao and stepped outside. In an isolated area, he pressed an aged human skin mask onto his face and donned a traditional Tang suit, altering his physique to some degree. This advanced disguise technique not only transformed his appearance, but also allowed his form to evolve in alignment with that of the masked persona. This was a gradual process requiring time for transformation. By the time Qin Lang arrived at the detention center, his appearance and build had closely approximated that of the elderly Tianjizi. What on earth is that little rascal still doing in there? Do you truly wish to live off the public's goodwill for the rest of your life? Come out this instant, Qin Lang exclaimed, his voice echoing with the same tone as Tianjizi, while leaning against the iron bars, urging Chun Pingon, who was still languishing on the wire bed. Having suffered significant losses due to the numerous aircraft assaults orchestrated by Tianjizi, did he truly believe that sending Junzi and others to investigate was a futile endeavor? With the aid of videos, he had discerned Tianjizi's appearance and voice, and coupled with insights from the original text regarding Tianjizi's characteristics and common phrases, imitation became a mere matter of skill. Chun Pingon, groggy, blinked open his eyes, staring in shock at the elderly figure outside the window. You old fool. What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on the mountain? Qin Lang scoffed. You little rascal, you can't let me have a moment's peace. I can tell just by calculating that you're destined for trouble. Living comfortably in solitary confinement has rendered you too timid to resist, hasn't it? You've brought shame upon my face. I can't go out. Otherwise, I'll become a fugitive. Chun Ping'an retorted, his lips curling in disdain. The conditions in the detention center were hardly sufficient to keep him confined. It was absurd to think so. However, if he were to escape recklessly, he would indeed become a fugitive, complicating his future in Tianhai City and his relationship with Chu Mingyao. Not leaving, are you? Then stay inside by all means. I can hardly be bothered to rescue a coward, Qin Lang declared, leaping from the iron bars and striding away with a swagger, leaving behind only those words. Damn, that old fool. I knew he was here to rescue me. He just trying to provoke me. Chun Ping'an gripped the iron bars tightly and peered through the high ventilation window, catching sight of Tianjizi's flamboyant silhouette. Unable to contain himself, he gritted his teeth, forcibly pried open the iron window, and slipped out. This was merely a detention center, not a prison. In essence, it was not much different from a police station. The security measures had their blind spots, and ordinary patrols posed no threat to the skills of Qin Lang and Chun Ping'an. A few agile movements later, they vault over the tall walls, escaping into freedom. Old fool, why are you running so fast? Wait for me, Chun Ping'an called out, his feet swift as the wind. Yet he could not quite catch up. When Qin Lang finally halted, Chun Ping'an came to a breathless stop behind him. You little rascal, you're quite the weakling, Qin Lang mocked, patting him on the shoulder. Stop with the nonsense. What brings you here? Chun Ping'an inquired, glancing at the nearby Queen's Bar, adorned with vibrant neon lights. Unable to resist a jab, Qin Lang wore a sly grin. Ahem. This grin, hidden beneath the guise of Tianjizi, appeared rather lewd. In his true form, however, he would undoubtedly charm women with his radiant demeanor. After being cooped up on a mountain for so many years, am I not entitled to a little fun? He retorted, casting a longing glance towards the Queen's Bar. Chun Ping'an inwardly mused, I knew that old fool was no good. As soon as he descended the mountain, his true nature was revealed. However, he was indifferent, viewing it as an opportunity to alleviate the mental burden he had been carrying during this period. As the two walked a short distance ahead, they were suddenly confronted by two inebriated individuals who staggered towards Chun Ping'an, hurling insults and throwing a punch, exclaiming, Are you blind? Can't you see the road? Chun Ping'an deftly sidestepped the blow, shooting a glare but remaining silent as he continued on his way. Yet, Qin Lang remained stationary, staring at Chun Ping'an as if he were a fool, questioning, Are you out of your mind? How can you let someone bully you without retaliating? Chun Ping'an rolled his eyes and pointed towards the distant flashing police lights, indicating that if he were to strike back, he would undoubtedly be apprehended. If he were to be detained and investigated, the consequences could be dire. He had grown fearful of the repercussions. Any minor transgression would promptly draw the attention of the authorities, ensuring that he, the wrongdoer, would face justice. Thus, when confronted with such ruffians, he opted for restraint to avoid further humiliation. Qin Lang spat near Chun Ping'an's shoes, then took a step back before launching a punch at the drunken man, sending him crashing to the ground and delivering a relentless barrage of blows. The inebriated man lay on the ground, wailing in pain, pleading for mercy. The commotion immediately attracted the attention of two police officers who were attending to a matter nearby. Upon noticing the scene, Chun Ping'an quickly shifted his position to conceal his involvement. What is happening here? Why are you assaulting this man to such an extent? One officer questioned, observing the bruised and bloodied state of the drunken man. After a brief examination, the officers approached Qin Lang, who was obscured by a mask. From a short distance away, Chun Ping'an muttered to himself, This is a disaster. That old fool has been cooped up for so long, and now he is in trouble. He is bound to be taken in. Just as onlookers, including Chun Ping'an, anticipated that Qin Lang would face dire consequences, he spoke up, one hand covering his face. He pointed indignantly at the groaning drunkard, declaring, This man came at me and punched me in the face. I was extremely anxious and terrified because he threatened to stab me, with one hand behind his back and the darkness obscuring my view. I feared he might have a knife. I was scared and felt compelled to stop him. He then noted that both men were clearly intoxicated. In Chapter 161, titled, Are You Out of Your Mind? Is This What You Call a Trap? It became evident that the drunken man had not physically attacked Qin Lang. However, for Qin Lang, the art of turning the tables was second nature. With no surveillance cameras in the vicinity and given the drunken state of the assailant, it was likely that the man did not even realize whom he intended to strike. Meanwhile, the drunken man's companion was preoccupied, clinging to a nearby tree to relieve himself. In this context, whatever Qin Lang asserted would inevitably become the prevailing narrative. After a prolonged entanglement, When the inebriated man's family received notification and arrived to learn the specifics of the situation, they not only refrained from holding Qin Lang accountable, but even discreetly stuffed a wad of red bills into his embrace, fearful of being taken advantage of. A madman indeed. How could this be a frail old man? Clearly, he is a lawless rogue. In their words, every detail was meticulously crafted. A slight probing would reveal that the unfortunate one would undoubtedly be their own kin. Sir, you are truly a good Samaritan. Thankfully, you intervened in time. Otherwise, if something had happened to this drunken fool, our entire family would have been doomed. Well done, well done. Thank you, sir. Amidst the family's expressions of gratitude, Qin Lang approached Chun Pinyin, raising an eyebrow and shaking a stack of red bills from his pocket, humming with a hint of arrogance. Look here, young lad. See how easily the funds flow? Chun Pinyin's lips twitched uncontrollably. Is this the chasm that separates master from disciple? He struck a man and would have been sent straight to the station. Yet here, with the old codger, not only did he escape unscathed, but the victim's family even felt compelled to express their gratitude and secretly slip him money in front of the police. This is utterly absurd. Old Jiang, how spicy you are. I misjudged you. Chun Pinyin had thought he had learned 80% of his master's skills, but now it seems he had merely scratched the surface. Where is this old man's profound wisdom? Following closely behind Qin Lang, they enter the Queen's Bar. Qin Lang, disguised as the enigmatic Master Tianji, could not afford to maintain an air of superiority for long. He soon blended seamlessly into the raucous atmosphere, mingling with several provocatively dressed women, engaging in lively conversation. It was inevitable. An elderly man with silver hair stood out as an oddity, and for the thrill-seeking urban women, he was a source of immense novelty, drawing more and more of them to his side. In stark contrast, Chun Pinyin lurked in a corner, appearing somewhat sullen and dismal. Having escaped from detention, he feared discovery would come swiftly, and then he would become a fugitive, unable to find a foothold in Tianhai City. Leaving Tianhai City, that was his only retreat. Armed with his skills, he could thrive anywhere. Yet, it was a pity for Chu Mingyao. Chances of meeting again seemed bleak. And then there was Qin Lang. Just thinking of this fellow made Chun Pinyin's gaze harden. This man had persistently made things difficult for him. From the incident at the Kaiyuan Hotel to the birthday celebration of the Zhou family's patriarch, both of his predicaments were inextricably linked to this individual. If he were to claim that his recent misfortunes had no connection to Qin Lang, he would not believe it, even at the cost of his life. This guy was undoubtedly scheming behind the scenes. Even if he were to leave Tianhai City, he could not allow Qin Lang to continue his carefree existence. Before departing, he must ensure this fellow tastes the bitterness of retribution, letting Qin Lang understand the consequences of crossing Chun Pinyin and experience the harsh realities of society. A top-tier rich second-generation heir, possessing immense power and a terrifying background, the revelations gleaned from Chu Mingyao held little terror for Qin Pinyin. Regardless of Qin Lang's formidable connections, what did it matter? Was he not still a mere weakling? Previously, Chen had exercised restraint in Tianhai City, but now that he had resolved to depart, how could he possibly let Qin Lang off the hook? Was he not a scion of wealth? Did he not have beautiful women surrounding him? One could only wonder what kind of torment and humiliation Qin Lang would endure if he were to apply a modicum of pressure, rendering him incapable of leading a humane existence. But that was merely the beginning. Chen intended not only to torment Qin Lang, but to subject him to unparalleled disgrace, delivering a fatal blow at the moment of his deepest sorrow and despair, plunging him into eternal darkness. He would come to understand just how terrifying it was to provoke Qin Pinyin. Little brat, you are utterly lacking. After all this time, you still haven't managed to attract a single girl. What a disgrace. Observing Chun Pinyin's morose expression, Qin Lang could not resist approaching. A stunning urban woman nestled in his embrace, mockingly taunting him. Chen rolled his eyes at the old man, wondering if he could still keep up at his advanced age. As he continued to prattle on, one might want to be cautious, lest he find himself unable to withstand the consequences. With a lecherous grin, Qin Lang recited, as the ancients say, 18 brides and 80 grooms, white-haired against red attire, pairs of mandarin ducks in the night, a pear tree laden with blossoms over the begonia. Let's go. Conversing with you is a waste of breath. If my mouth runs dry, things may not go as smoothly. The alluring woman in his arms coyly protested. You are so naughty. I am far older than 18. Qin Lang chuckled. In my eyes, you will forever be 18. It was all an act after all. It needed to appear authentic. Otherwise, how could he avoid arousing Chun Pinyin's suspicions? Besides, mere words posed no real threat. What was there to fear? To be frank, Had it not been for the desire to ensnare Chen Pingon, the favored child of fortune, Qin Lang would have had no interest in mingling with these urban women, nor would he don the visage of a mysterious figure to approach others. Do not ask why. The answer is simply irksome, with a charm rating of 99. Did he truly need to rely on another's face to engage with women? What nonsense! As he watched the retreating figures, a chill swept through Chen Pingon's heart. It seemed that once he left Tianhai City, the prospect of any future with Chu Mingyao was all but extinguished. Maintaining one's purity? Had he not observed how brazen the old man was? He harbored serious doubts that his recent troubles stemmed from his antiquated mindset. Perhaps if he were as unscrupulous as the old man, he might still be reveling in freedom. Hey, what's wrong? Sitting here all alone and looking glum. It makes me feel uneasy. Suddenly, a member of the ambience team, clad in revealing attire, swayed her alluring hips and settled beside Chen Pingon, gently smoothing his furrowed brow, urging him to relax. That's much better. You look far more appealing now. Who are you? Chen Pingon inquired, perplexed. The enchanting woman covered his mouth with her hand. Don't ask me who I am. It is of no consequence. We are all here to unwind, and it is my first time in such a place. Cool me. Let's change to a private room for a more intimate conversation, shall we? She casually wrapped her arm around Chen Pingon's waist. Ah, human nature. At times, confidence can swell to great proportions, just like the captivating woman before him. Previously, when faced with men, she felt self-conscious even in clothing, but without the protection of garments. The insecurities gnawed at her like a thorn. Yet, things have transformed now. She had embraced an exquisite transformation, indulging in a comprehensive beauty treatment, even undergoing minor surgical enhancements. Who would have known that she, who was once hesitant, was now a top contender in her field, earning over $100,000 a month? Chapter 162. Revenge from the female assassin. On the other side, Qin Lang was ushered into a pre-booked private room on the second floor by a woman. Before the urban lady could settle in, her attention was captured by a striking figure, and with a furrowed brow, she curtly inquired, "Who are you? How did you end up here?" The woman known as Blood Red Mandala looked up from her seat, her expression tinged with skepticism. She had come to await Qin Lang's arrival, only to find an elderly man and a woman instead. Calm down. We are all here for enjoyment, and happiness is paramount. Since we are here, let's make the best of it. However, as an old soul, I can only satisfy one of you. Qin Lang chuckled, retrieving 2 spherical cups from his pocket, handing one to the alluring woman and tossing another to Blood Red Mandala. How about this? You two can compete to see who can finish the cup first, and the winner shall claim me for the night. The beautiful woman, unwilling to concede, tore off the sticker, crushed the base of the spherical cup, and consumed most of it in one swift motion. You may leave now, Blood Red Mandala stated coldly, lifting her own pristine cup, untouched and perfectly shaped, while licking her lips, exuding a charm that would make any man bow in submission. Humph. The alluring woman scoffed, genuinely surprised that she had been outdone in such a contest. Reluctantly, she turned to leave, honoring her word. Clap, clap, clap. Qin Lang applauded, exclaiming, "Well done, a reward for your efforts." If not for the mask of Tianjizi he wore, he would not have hesitated to lavish Blood Red Mandala with multiple rewards right then and there. How did you become this way? Is that a human skin mask? It looks astonishingly real. Blood Red Mandala rose, scrutinizing Qin Lang from head to toe, her face a canvas of shock. As a professional assassin, she was intimately familiar with disguise and the use of human skin masks. Yet, even among the top 3 elite assassins, she had never encountered a master of disguise as terrifying as him. Had it not been for Qin Lang's intentional revelation of the spherical cup, she would have been unable to discern his identity from his stature, demeanor, and tone. Weren't you the one who asked me to help you deal with Chen Pingon? This is the visage of his master. That fellow has already been lured to the Queen's Bar, where he is currently reveling with some enchanting beauty. Qin Lang reclined on the sofa, his hands resting casually on the backrest, exuding an air of leisurely contentment. The blood-colored Mandala's expression turned icy. I shall go and eliminate him now. At the moment when one reaches the pinnacle of their state, they are at their most relaxed. Seizing this opportunity could allow one to overpower their adversary and achieve a swift victory. Wait, now is not the time. If you strike now, you may alert the snake in the grass, which would be counterproductive. Qin Lang gestured, halting the impetuousness of the blood-colored Mandala. After all, having skillfully deceived Chen Pingon into a frenzy, what significance would there be in simply extinguishing him? Before his demise, one should thoroughly extract all that he has to offer. Would it not be more gratifying? I will heed your counsel. The blood-colored mandala stood still, locking eyes with Qin Lang for a prolonged moment, then gradually approached, crouching down to inquire, "Are you able to remove this human skin mask?" Qin Lang shook his head. "Not today. Although you have performed admirably, this mask retains some utility and cannot be removed just yet." Very well. Whether it was disappointment over not being able to eliminate Chun Ping-gon at this moment or the rejection of her overtures, the blood-colored mandala's spirits waned. In the blink of an eye, over an hour had elapsed. Ding! The luck of the fated one, Chun Ping-gon, has diminished by 1,000. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 20,000 villain points. Hearing the notification from the system, Qin Lang's lips curled into a slight smile as he gestured with his chin towards the waiting blood-colored mandala. "Go now. Seek an opportunity to dispose of Chun Ping-gon outside the bar." Understood. The blood-colored mandala swiftly donned a dark outfit, fastening her mask before leaping from the second-floor window, rapidly vanishing into the enveloping darkness of the night. The stillness of the night, with its inky blackness and rustling trees, presented an ideal opportunity for assassination. Beneath the dim light of a street lamp, a girl from the ambience team clung to Chun Ping-gon's arm. Her cheeks flushed. "Brother Ping-gon, you are truly remarkable. Just now, I was completely at your mercy. Thank you for escorting me home. Otherwise, I would have been worried about encountering any rogues at this late hour." A smile adorned Chun Ping-gon's face, his lips curve in a playful manner as he embraced the slender waist of the ambience girl. "This is the least I could do. Places like bars are rife with danger. You should refrain from coming here in the future. If you find yourself in trouble, just reach out to me." He felt particularly pleased with the ambience girl he had just met. Not only was she exquisitely beautiful, but there had also been a hint of bloodshed during their encounter, making it evident that she was a novice. Though she may not rival Chu Mengyao in looks, he had certainly made his mark. Naturally, he couldn't neglect her. After resolving his troubles with Qin Lang, he intended to lay low for a while before returning, with hopes of continuing to cultivate their connection. "Thank you, Brother Ping-gon. You are so kind," the girl exclaimed, tiptoeing to plant a kiss on his cheek, her heart brimming with joy. What a windfall! Unexpectedly, on this evening of her first outing for business, she encountered such a fortunate man. It seems that Chun Ping-gon is quite earnest, even inviting her to seek his assistance in the future. Indeed, when it comes to ensnaring a wealthy companion, she is second to none. Setting aside the potential benefits she could extract from Chun Ping-gon, with her current physical attributes, her future earnings could easily escalate from 800 to 3,000 a day. Splendid. Utterly delightful. Not only has she secured a benefactor, but she has also rejuvenated her career prospects. If it weren't for the disdain of the older brother known as Junzi, she would certainly feel compelled to express her gratitude to him. Suddenly, in the midst of her reverie, she was jostled, landing unceremoniously on the ground. Looking up, she was confronted by a mysterious figure clad in dark attire, engaged in a fierce battle with Chun Ping-gon. "You again? Do you dare to show yourself? Do you truly think me easy to bully?" Chun Ping-gon frowned. Leaping from the fray to shield the atmosphere group lady, his countenance icy. He felt a twinge of astonishment. He had not anticipated the mysterious woman's rapid enhancement in prowess. The last time they crossed paths, he had sensed her from a distance, yet now she had nearly harmed him. No, that is not the case. It is not that this female assassin has grown stronger. It is he who has weakened. Upon sensing the energy within him, Chun Ping-gon was horrified to discover that his strength was dissipating at an alarming rate. Poison. Was there poison in the water or the fruit platter? Impossible. He had consumed nothing at a Queen's bar, so how could he be poisoned? Upon further inspection, particularly feeling a disturbing energy accumulating within him, Chun Ping-gon turned his gaze back, fixated on the woman sprawled on the ground, his facial muscles contorting in fury as he bellowed. "Vile woman, are you harboring poison within you?" Chapter 163. The honest man never takes the bait. Impossible. What nonsense are you speaking? The atmosphere group lady wore a sorrowful expression. Chun Ping-gon, seething with rage, was consumed by an extraordinary fury. "How dare you deceive me? Damn it, I've been tricked. Someone has plotted against me. Employing such insidious methods. How could there be no poison? The source of my rapid decline in strength is undoubtedly emanating from below." The atmosphere group lady lay collapsed, tears welling in her eyes as she reproached him softly. "Chun Ping-gon, I once believed you to be a good man, genuinely wishing to treat me well. Yet, I never anticipated you would slander me in such a way. Yes, I deceived you. I have no past, but I have long since healed from any poison. Why do you unjustly tarnish my reputation? Must love between two individuals necessitate a shared past? You did not say this when we were together in bed. You promised to care for me for a lifetime. Damn it. These wretched men. It seems that words spoken in bed are indeed untrustworthy. I thought you to be a rare, honest man. Unexpectedly, you are no different from the previous 999. I'm done. Why should I provoke something I cannot handle? The foul-mouthed woman rose from the ground and swiftly fled. She departed without a clear understanding of how she had been discovered. Something felt amiss. Hadn't the virus in her body been eradicated? She had spent a considerable amount of money earned from dubious endeavors. How could she suddenly be exposed? Was it a relapse? Perhaps a checkup tomorrow would clarify things. Casting aside her complicated thoughts, the woman from the ambience group darted away with remarkable speed. In the shadows, Qin Lang observed this scene with a hint of curiosity. Indeed, the poison in Chun Ping'an was rather peculiar, colorless and odorless. It left no trace yet could diminish the senses and abilities of even the most skilled martial artists. Although it had minimal impact on an ordinary person like the ambience group woman, it should not have resulted in such a complete lack of physical deterioration. Could it be that her prolonged illness, while striving to earn money, had granted her some degree of resistance to the toxin? Qin Lang pondered this as an angry roar echoed nearby. Seeking death, Chun Ping'an clenched his iron fists, picked up a stone, and hurled it at the woman's back. With a sickening thud, she fell forward, her head creating a gruesome crater, lifeless in an instant. You shall perish too. Chun Ping'an's eyes glinted with rage. After dealing with the woman who had betrayed him, he turned his focus to the blood-red mandala. A dragon has its reverse scales. Touch them, and one meets death. The blood-red mandala, having provoked him time and again, left Chun Ping'an with no other thoughts. He transformed into a fleeting shadow, swiftly charging towards her. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Silver needles shot through the air with blinding speed, akin to bullets. The blood-red mandala struggled to evade, as her expertise lay in the art of instant assassination, lacking somewhat in direct confrontation. Despite Chun Ping'an's diminished strength due to the poison, the flying needles struck her several times. She quickly retreated, pulling the needles from her arms. Her lips pressed tightly together beneath her mask, her expression grave. Damn it, you cannot escape. Chun Ping'an pursued the blood-red mandala with fervor. Rage boiled within him. Had he not been poisoned, those few needles would have sealed the assassin's vital points, making her capture effortless. Even in his weakened state, he showed no intention of retreating. Until the blood-red mandala was dead, his heart would not find peace. In an instant, the tides of battle shifted dramatically. Chun Ping'an transformed from the hunted to the hunter, rapidly closing in on his target. Meanwhile, the blood-red mandala deliberately lured him into a desolate area. The two engaged in combat once more, their daggers and silver needles clashing, producing a cacophony of metallic echoes. As time progressed, the toxins seeped deeper, causing Chun Ping'an's strength to plummet drastically. However, rather than retreating, he became increasingly bloodthirsty. Initially striving for caution, he ultimately resorted to risking his life for the battle. A sharp gasp escaped him as a dagger carved a deep, bone-exposing gash in his arm. The crimson mandala swiftly retreated, yet was unable to evade, receiving a crushing blow to the shoulder that echoed with the sound of cracking bones. In the air, only the heavy sounds of their labored breathing pierced the silence. Both parties, gravely injured, were gathering their strength for the next clash. Chun Ping'an's limbs bore various degrees of wounds inflicted by the dagger, and most infuriatingly, the crimson mandala's blade was laced with poison, hastening the depletion of his internal energy. Taking a deep breath, Chun Ping'an endeavored to stabilize his breathing, his entire being slowing down as if he were a tortoise. This was the tortoise breathing technique, a unique secret taught by his master, capable of conserving energy for an explosive moment of release. Just as he adjusted his breath and prepared for a final strike, Qin Lang, donning the human skin mask of Tianjizi, swaggered onto the scene. You little brat, getting wounded by a woman to this extent is truly disgraceful. If I hadn't come today, would you have lost your life? Qin Lang snorted coldly, retrieving an antidote pill from his pocket, a common remedy available on the market, and shoved it into Chun Ping'an's mouth. After ingesting the pill, Chun Ping'an could distinctly feel the poison from the crimson mandala's dagger rapidly dissipating. With a grim expression, he gritted his teeth and muttered, "Damn old man, do you have any more antidotes? I am afflicted by another poison." Cursing under his breath, he lamented his misfortune, certain that the culprit behind this debacle was none other than the man named Qin Lang, who had an inseparable connection with the female assassin. Once this is over, I will make Qin Lang wish he were never born. Qin Lang rolled his eyes, remarking that such precious antidote pills could not simply be produced at will. I have another method of bloodletting treatment, derived from the techniques of San. Let me give it a try. With a swift motion, Qin Lang extracted a dagger and began the bloodletting treatment on Chun Pingin's heart. You! Chun Pingin exclaimed in horror, momentarily speechless, staring wide-eyed at Qin Lang before glancing down at the blood gushing from his chest. He could scarcely fathom that his master would betray him in such a manner. Damn it, you stabbed in the wrong place. Too much blood is spilling. Let me stop it. Without hesitation, Qin Lang thrust the dagger back into its original position. Chapter 164. Killing to Avenge and Transcend. Why would you kill me? Chun Pingin staggered backward, pressing his fingers against the wound, his complexion alternating between green and purple, tinged with black. His eyes, bloodshot, fixed intently on Qin Lang, and in that moment, he did not doubt Qin Lang's identity. It was not his foolishness that led him to this conclusion, but rather the undeniable resemblance of the man before him to his master, in stature, speech, and even certain catchphrases. Even the minutiae of daily life remain unchanged. The celestial mechanic has spent the majority of his life in seclusion on the mountain. Apart from him, who else could possibly be aware of such trivial habits? Qin Lang sighed deeply, shaking his head. Foolish child, the only one to blame is your own naivety. A pure young body. Such rarity. It has taken me decades to finally find you. After nurturing you for so many years, if I do not kill you, if I do not extract your blood to concoct the pure yang pill, what hope does this old body of mine have for a few more years of life? Qin Lang feigned earnestness, yet inwardly he applauded the advanced disguise technique. Impressive. Even under such dire circumstances, Chun Pingin did not suspect his true identity. Flawless. After much contemplation, Qin Lang resolved to act. Rather than revealing himself to Chun Pingin and boasting, I am Qin Lang. Weren't you just trying to kill me? Now I have stabbed you. It would be far more advantageous to continue impersonating the celestial mechanic and deliver another fatal blow to Chun Pingin. Ding! The luck of the child of destiny, Chun Pingin, has decreased by 1,000 points. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 20,000 villain points. Chun Pingin trembled, the darkness on his face spreading further. The backlash of fate, coupled with his profuse bleeding, rendered his aura increasingly feeble. I may perish, and you may freely utilize my blood to forge the pure yang pill. But you must assist me in eliminating one individual, a man named Qin Lang. Chun Pingin's visage contorted in rage. Even in death, I shall ensure his suffering. I want his family to be destroyed, and for him to endure eternal torment. Kill, you wretched scoundrel. Qin Lang advanced, gripping Chun Pingin's hair as he plunged the dagger into him repeatedly. Chun Pingin attempted to resist, yet in his prime, he was no match for Qin Lang, let alone in his current grievously injured state. Within moments, Chun Pingin's chest was riddled with wounds, blood pouring forth. You wicked old man. Chun Pingin's lips stained with blood. He fell backward, lifeless. In his final moments, he had not anticipated that he only sought the old man's assistance in eliminating one person, yet instead of receiving help, he was stabbed 18 times in mere seconds. What a disgraceful end. The blood-soaked mandala approached the gravely injured body, casting a glance at Chun Pingin's lifeless form. Addressing Qin Lang, who was scrutinizing the corpse, it remarked oddly, what are you staring at? He is already dead, his pupils devoid of focus. There's no disguising that. Furthermore, do you not keep count of how many times you have stabbed him? Not even a cow would survive such a fate. Qin Lang remained unperturbed, retrieving a white porcelain vial from his pocket and pouring its contents onto Chun Pingin's wounds. Hiss hiss, a cloud of white smoke began to rise, followed by the emergence of white bubbles on the corpse, its flesh visibly dissolving. Is this corpse powder? The crimson mandala gazed in astonishment at the unfolding scene. Are you the assassin, or am I? Why does it seem that you possess even greater expertise than I, utilizing such sophisticated chemicals to dispose of body? Can you refrain from incessantly chattering on the sidelines? Is it not bothersome? Do you not comprehend the gravity of the deceased? They deserve utmost respect. Qin Lang turned around, rolling his eyes in annoyance as he chastised the crimson mandala. He watched as Chun Pingin's lifeless form dissolved into a pool of blood, merging with the earth, leaving only tattered clothing behind. He retrieved another vial, pouring its contents onto the remains, then struck a match and tossed it onto the liquid. Suddenly, a fierce blaze erupted, casting a crimson glow upon Qin Lang's face as he stood nearby. This was not the conclusion. In his second encounter with the Son of Fate, Qin Lang had become significantly more adept and professional than before. He produced a recorder and pressed play. Instantly, rousing music burst forth, resonating with a deep, rhythmic pulse that gradually ascended to a triumphant crescendo, as if conducted by a black maestro in a dark hat wielding a cane. What is this peculiar music? The Crimson Mandala, despite her grievous injuries, felt an inexplicable chill wash over her amidst the melody. How unusual! Kinlang scoffed. As a competent villain, mere murder and ashes no longer sufficed to demonstrate his proficiency. It was imperative to accompany this service with an additional rite of passage. With a target like Chun Ping'an, who sought to end his life, the quality of this rite must be commendable yet not excessively refined, something akin to 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. Chun Ping'an was unworthy of such grandeur. The black man lifting the coffin was the most fitting choice. The brother chuckled. Life and death are unpredictable. As the coffin is raised, the world fades away. With a final kick of dirt, Qin Lang extinguished the last ember. Thus, the son of fate, Chun Ping'an, completely dissipated from this world into a wisp of smoke. Was it truly necessary to orchestrate such an elaborate affair for the act of killing a man? The Crimson Mandala cast an alluring glance at Qin Lang, her pale complexion taking on a seductive hue. She scrutinized his tang suit, wondering if it concealed hidden compartments capable of holding myriad items. Sho, let me quietly reflect for a moment. Though I promise to assist you in eliminating Chun Ping'an, it is still a life lost, and I feel a pang of conscience. Grant me a moment of solitude to gather my thoughts. Qin Lang placed a hand over the Crimson Mandala's mouth and closed his eyes, lost in contemplation, waiting. His expression bore hints of conflict, intertwined with urgency, as if he truly felt a weight upon his heart. Could it be that he harbored unspoken burdens? The Crimson Mandala was momentarily deceived by Qin Lang's expression. Just as a flicker of emotion began to stir within, it had yet to fully develop when she beheld a smile upon the closed eyes of Qin Lang. Ding! The host has slain the chosen of fate, Chun Ping'an. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the pure Yang body. Chapter 165. Reward Surge. Reward Fusion. A bountiful harvest. Reward Surge. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the pure Yang Overlord body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the turtle breathing technique. Reward Surge. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the breath control method. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring intermediate medical skills. Reward Surge. Congratulations to the host for obtaining advanced medical skills. Ding! Reward Fusion. Congratulations to the host for acquiring God-level medical skills. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring beginner danger perception. Reward Surge. Congratulations to the host for obtaining intermediate danger perception. Ding! Reward Fusion. Congratulations to the host for acquiring advanced danger perception. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 20 constitution points. Ding! Ding! The host has defeated the chosen of fate. Chun Ping'an. The calculation of the accumulated value of the destined villain has been completed. Please check. Qin Lang's mind echoed with sounds as he coughed lightly, silently reciting a phrase, and accessed the system panel. System panel. Character. Qin Lang. Age. 25. Constitution. 380 Charm. 99 Destined Villain Value. 2. 152. 200 Cultivation Methods. 9 turns Celestial Dragon Technique. Second turn enhancement, 225. To advance to the third turn requires 500. 000 Destined Villain Value. Pure Yang Overlord Body. Breath Control Method Skills. Affinity 8 Group Affinity 80. Advanced Piano Skills, Advanced T-Art, Advanced Calligraphy, Disguise Technique, Advanced Firearm Proficiency, Advanced Danger Perception, God-Level Medical Skills. Shop. Open. Lottery Center. Open. Each lottery costs 1,000 Destined Villain Value. System Backpack. 8 2/3 of washing marrow pills. 1 each from Su Xiao Xiao Mu Yu Yin. In Xiujur. 2 from the Bai Sisters. 1/3 from Chu Tianpeng. 4 from Qin Lang. 20 beauty pills. 1 photo book of Aunt Xiao, worn out. 1 photo book of Sister Bai, dirty. 1 doll of Sister Hui, pierced 3 times. 10 bags for human infants, brand new. Over 2 million Destined Villain Value. Quite impressive. After meticulously scrutinizing the system panel, it was evident that Chun Ping'an's demise had provided over 1 million Destined Villain Value, surpassing Yifeng by nearly 20,000. As for the remaining amount, it was naturally accumulated through arduous efforts over time, a testament to his tireless endeavors. The pure Yang Overlord Body and Breath Control Method, obtained through reward surges, were invaluable treasures. With his eyes closed, Qin Lang could sense a stream of obscure information flowing through his mind, while a warm sensation enveloped his body, clearly indicating an enhancement in every aspect. His original constitution stood at 320, but after a period of focused training, Coupled with the consumption of 4 washing marrow pills, his constitution successfully elevated to 360, and with the additional 20 points gained from vanquishing Chun Ping'an, it soared to an impressive 380. Under the operation of the second transformation of the 9 turns Heavenly Dragon technique, a battle power of 855 can be unleashed. For individuals like Chun Ping'an and Yi Feng, who are merely budding prodigies, they appear as nothing more than undeveloped children in the presence of such formidable strength. The only lamentation lies in the diminishing probability of acquiring physical enhancement points as one's constitution strengthens, a stark contrast to the past. Fortunately, this system retains a semblance of benevolence, providing critical rewards and opportunities for fusion. It has elevated advanced medical skills to divine levels and upgraded intermediate danger perception to advanced danger perception. After accounting for his gains, Qin Lang did not immediately engage in a lottery, but instead approached the blood-colored mandala, silently retrieving a beauty pill. This item was not obtained through the lottery. Since the introduction of gold, which included the formula for the beauty pill, such healing potions had ceased to appear in the system's marketplace or lottery center, not even once. These were the ultimate versions secretly developed by Mu Yuyan, not available for public sale, as the raw materials were far too costly for mass distribution. What is this? The blood-colored mandala inquired, casting a dubious glance at the pill in her hand. This is a beauty pill capable of healing. Just consume it, Qin Lang instructed, producing a cleansing pill as well. This will enhance your constitution. You are too weak. You can't even defeat a poisoned Chun Ping'an. Keeping you by my side is burdensome. Your strength must augment. Consider this as my assistance, but remember to return the favor next time. With a dismissive snort, the blood-colored mandala swallowed the beauty pill without hesitation and stowed away the cleansing pill. Moments later, as she adjusted her breathing, her eyes widened in astonishment as she gazed at her injuries, which were visibly healing at an astonishing rate. Within less than 10 minutes, the surface wounds had nearly healed, and it seemed she would fully recover within a couple of days. Do not be overly astonished. After following me, such occurrences should become commonplace. Do you understand? Qin Lang expressed with a hint of disdain. However, the blood-colored mandala regarded him differently, perceiving him as a treasure trove. How is it that he possesses such extraordinary items? Initially, she had dismissed the cleansing pill, doubting its miraculous properties, but after witnessing the effects of the beauty pill, her skepticism dissipated entirely. Qin Lang's creations were undoubtedly of the highest caliber. Let us return, Qin Lang declared, tearing the human skin mask from his face. His form gradually transformed as they retraced their steps, prompting the blood-colored mandala to gaze at him with fervent admiration, harboring an urge to kneel and seek his tutelage. As they journeyed back, they encountered a group of police officers who had cordoned off the area. Unfortunately, while pursuing Chun Ping'an, Qin Lang had neglected to dispose of the body of the atmosphere group woman, which was discovered by passers-by, who promptly reported it to the authorities. Leading the team was none other than Shenziki, who, upon spotting Qin Lang and the blood-colored mandala at a distance, felt a weight of seriousness settle upon her. She communicated with her colleagues briefly before approaching the duo. What are you doing here? Could this case possibly be related to the two of you? Shinziki's mind was in a whirl. She had been exceedingly busy these past few days, and just when she finally found a moment to rest, another incident arose. Rushing over, her head still buzzing, she felt a deep bitterness upon encountering Qin Lang and the Scarlet Mandala. The Scarlet Mandala shook her head, stating that it was Chun Ping'an who had committed the act, but he was already deceased. Shunziki, feeling a headache coming on, inquired about the body. The Scarlet Mandala hesitated for a moment before replying, "If you hurry, you might still catch a whiff of something. If you delay, there will be nothing left." Shunziki's attractive lips twitched uncontrollably as she sighed, turning away in resignation to continue her busy schedule. Qin Lang, observing her desolate figure, could not help but caution the Scarlet Mandala. "This illustrates the disparity between you and her. Aligning with me is your fortune. Biting your lip and leaning against the wall. A little pain is preferable to working." Chapter 166. The Scarlet Mandala's Affection. New template of the fortunate child as Shunziki walked ahead. She stumbled slightly upon hearing his words, nearly twisting her ankle. The Scarlet Mandala, witnessing this, could not refrain from saying, "Can't you say something more pleasant? Must you always aim to undermine my sister?" Though she harbored her own selfish motives in certain matters, it was a human trait, especially considering the deep-seated enmity that burdened both her sister and herself. In her usual conduct, she upheld justice with integrity, never bowing down in the face of injustice. but rather arguing her case with conviction. Is such a person not worthy of your acknowledgement, even if only out of courtesy? Qin Lang shrugged, seemingly intrigued as he scrutinized the scarlet mandala's face. Do you believe I was attacking her just now? I was merely elucidating the current situation. If she does not provoke me, why would I seek out trouble? Times have changed. Perhaps the Scarlet Mandala herself was unaware of the profound transformation within her. Previously, she would readily shout for bloodshed and violence under duress. Yet now, she exhibited no murderous intent upon meeting him, even expressing heartfelt sentiments and considering Qin Lang's attitude toward her sister. In response to the Scarlet Mandala suggestion, Qin Lang could have declined or chastised her, even belittling her dignity. However, he deemed it unnecessary. You still bear injuries. Do not linger here. Come with me to disinfect and avoid infection. Taking the Scarlet Mandala's hand, he disregarded Chunziki's affairs and headed homeward. With her head bowed, the Scarlet Mandala, slender and graceful, her beauty concealed beneath the mask, felt an unusual sensation as she gazed at Qin Lang's hand enveloping hers, a feeling that had not surged within her for a long time. In her childhood, after being abducted, she was cast onto a secluded island, surrounded by children of her own stature. Day and night, they endured relentless and demonic training, honing their skills in the art of killing and mastering various combat techniques. Gradually, a belief took root within her. Others were inherently untrustworthy, and only that which was earned through her own hands held any semblance of reality. Consequently, she became increasingly withdrawn. As the number of lives she took grew, so too did her cold-heartedness. Though the world outside was vast, bustling, and adorned with beauty, it bore no connection to her. However, today, when Qin Lang's warm hand unexpectedly grasped hers, a flicker of softness ignited within her heart. Had it not been for Qin Lang's timely intervention, she would have likely succumbed to her mission to eliminate Chun Pingon, now reduced to a lifeless corpse. Without the elixir provided by Qin Lang, even if she had survived by sheer luck, she would now be cowering in a dark corner, akin to a stray wildcat, desolately licking her wounds. A self-deprecating smile flickered across the exquisite yet frigid visage of the blood-colored mandala. It seemed that this sensation of having someone to rely on was rather pleasant. Instinctively, her pace quickened to keep up with Qin Lang, her shoulder occasionally brushing against his arm, drawing them closer together. Qin Lang, out of the corner of his eye, subtly observed her. Though faint, the semblance of a little girl in the blood-colored mandala was unmistakable. Everything was within his control. Was it merely the act of holding hands that fostered such psychological dependence in her? If anyone were to presume so and act upon it, their fate would surely be dire. Given the blood-colored mandala's stunning figure and captivating beauty, suitors would be plentiful, though they were currently nowhere to be found. One might as well dance atop their graves, for even the vibrant neon lights could not penetrate the earth above. Had it not been for Qin Lang's prior maneuvers, had he not methodically shattered her boundaries and ground her dignity into the floor, how could this innocent facade of a little girl ever emerge? Did they truly believe Qin Lang possessed peculiar proclivities? It was all a ruse, a meticulously crafted scheme, by instilling feelings of helplessness and despair. And when her world was engulfed in darkness, he offered a mere crack of light, allowing a sliver of dawn to seep through. The effect was astonishingly profound. As a consummate villain, Qin Lang was more than willing to share his methods and strategies. He taught and allowed others to observe. That was merely human nature. If someone were to genuinely emulate him, that would be negligence, ultimately leading to the learner sharing a cell with Mr. Fan from Canada. Such is the way of the world. Upon returning to the villa, Qin Lang lay on his bed, silently activating the system panel. Ding! The new plot has been successfully integrated, requiring the expenditure of 200,000 villain points. Does the host wish to be informed in advance? The mechanical sound of the system echoed, and Qin Lang pondered the peculiar absence of this matter earlier. How could he possibly know how the Chosen One was languishing in development without prior knowledge of the plot? If the destined child were to grow powerful enough, attempting to eliminate him later would undoubtedly lead to a myriad of complications. Indeed, with a deduction of 200,000 villain points, a torrent of information surged within Qin Lang's mind. How disappointing! Qin Lang clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction at the identity of the Chosen One. There were no 7 companions, no legendary warrior wives entering the fray, and certainly no celestial deities returning. Instead, he found himself confronted with a reincarnated entertainment titan, one that had yet to experience rebirth. How could he possibly engage with such a being? Was there a key to this game? How many keys were required? Or was it, as he had previously speculated, that this child of destiny was merely a transitional figure? Much like a game with various tiers, golden, silver, diamond, and king levels. Yifeng and Chun Ping'an represented the golden tier, while advancing to higher levels necessitated superior character attributes, which Qin Lang currently lacked. If this were indeed the case, then this grand villain system was excessively humane. Qin Lang was taken aback. Chapter 167, Mu Yi's Subtle Intentions. Business is business an hour later. Lottery. Satisfied, Qin Lang waved his hand extravagantly. Ding! Congratulations.